No, no more! That's it! I don't care! I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about being better than Kakarot. I didn't care about being a Super Saiyan. I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care about anything. And then it happened.
How's it going, everybody? SainSC here, back with Shun for another duocast. We are in week number 4 of the KCM 2023, starting off here with Mini versus Rush. Game number 1, let's go. Rush, the blue Terran, spawning here in the center left. His opponent, Mini, over here in the red trunks, over on the center right. We're starting out on Heartbreak Ridge. Should be a great game for our game number 1.
Yeah, we got a really nice lineup. We'll be seeing Shine come out this week, and I'm really excited to see some G's from him maybe later on, even though he can play pretty much as standard as anyone else, so you never know quite what you're going to see from him. But game number 1, Heartbreak Ridge, going to be seeing Mini on the right. He's a fantastically talented player, but a little bit more on the emotional side, so if things don't quite go his way, he can fall apart. But when things do go his way, he seems to be able to work magic, and last week he really did kind of show that he knows how to use this map to take advantage of those old school strategies of like getting up on the high ground, mining this mineral in the back, and kind of like pincering the Terran and forcing him to keep microing back and forth, and then baiting in tanks to situations where he can pick up an early advantage and eventually win the game that way.
Yeah, that was such a dirty game last week with the Dragoons on the high ground. It seemed like he had his opponent pinned from the very start. But that was something that you can't really repeat twice in a row. I'm sure Rush watched that game and he's going to be on the lookout for that kind of play. We may end up seeing a bunker on that high ground just to prevent any actions like that from occurring again.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be some kind of adjustment out of Rush. It'd be kind of shocking for him to not have done his research. And a nice little gas steal from Mini with the forward gateway and the natural as well. So going to be wanting to put on that pressure early on and maybe potentially delay that factory as long as possible. Be interesting to see how successful he is in doing that. Right now, the probe trying to get as much damage on this building SCV as possible and trying to force Rush to have to pull off another SCV off the line to deny some mining time.
Looks like he will force another SCV off there. Gas is going to be he's going to let that finish. Gonna have to bring a few SCVs off the line. I'm always curious to see how many SCVs are pulled and actually deal with that gas geyser. I really don't understand the nuance of that, but it seems like everyone has a different approach.
A Light's method seems to be using 2 SCVs to kill it. There have been some pros that even have gone so extreme as to using up to 4. I don't think there's like a deciding factor on what the best way is to deal with it. Light seems to think that it's best to kill it with a few workers. Seems like with Rush also seems to think at least using, oh yeah, he's going to be using 2 SCVs to kill that geyser as well, which I think is actually the right play.
All right, and with 2 Marines here and that nice wall, I think he's not going to take too much damage from this Zealot. It's coming around. It's going to make it into the main base, but look at that wall there. 2 supply depots. That gives you so much space to run back and forth. He is going to pull everything forward here, though, and try to prevent the Zealot from actually getting into the main base at all. We'll see if that ends up working out for him. He's got 3 Marines now. That's enough to deal with this Zealot, as long as he has proper blocking. Beautiful, beautiful blocking there.
Yeah, great blocking from Rush. It looks like Mini's going to throw down that Nexus at 21 supply and then get his gas geyser, so trying to squeeze out a little bit of an economic advantage here. But Rush actually not too slow with putting down this command center after making this Marines and bunker, so I would say the game is hard to call right now. We have a slightly delayed gas from the Terran, but the expansion was not that delayed, so it's hard to say who's in an advantageous position right now. But it looks like Mini already going to be setting up for maybe some later shenanigans, going to start mining out this back mineral, and it looks like Rush is onto him, going to be setting this Marine right on down there to deny this.
There we go. That's that adjustment that we were talking about earlier. Sending the Marine around the back, just making sure that probe can't mine through. Of course, once the Dragoon is out, you can still mine that. But for now, gonna be denying that play. I don't know how many stacks there are in that mineral, but they're all 0. Just need 1 probe to mine for quite a bit of time. But delaying that move is going to be beneficial here for Rush, as he's going to throw down his factory and get set up.
Yeah, I don't know the exact amount. There's a good between 12 and 20 stacks. I think it takes somewhere between like a minute or so to mine out, maybe a bit longer. Oh, proxy robo, nice. Okay, I like this from Mini.
Robo at the third base. This is very strong play against a gasless fast expand. Can walk the Reaver down into the natural, start hitting that bunker. Alternatively, you could wait for a shuttle and fly in around the back, start to drop on that high ground, maybe drop into the main as well. We'll see what he decides to do with this.
Now, Rush does get the full scout with the SCV and only sees 3 pylons. At this stage of the game, it would be likely that a 4th pylon would have been made by now, so he might start to smell something's going on, because it doesn't quite line up with the build to only see 3 pylons there, so he may sniff it out.
Great scouting there by Rush, managing to get that in, but we haven't seen a Dragoon yet, so how does he deny scouting? That might be a tip off in itself. Just not seeing a Dragoon yet is a little bit suspicious.
Well, he understands that he went for the quick nexus, so it's a little bit suspicious. Yes, he already confirmed the CC timing, so he doesn't need to check that with the Dragoon. So it wouldn't be like totally weird for him not to show the Dragoon as it stands right now, but he should be able to sniff something is going on.
We've got the barracks actually floating up to the top left, so yeah, you might be right there that he's got his nose to the ground trying to figure out what's going on. That barracks, of course, floating along the top of the map, just looking for any proxy buildings, but he's gone in the wrong direction, unfortunately. Not going to scout the Robo here at the bottom center. Not going to find it with the Vulture either, unfortunately, and going to load up. Oh, Mini going to abuse this high ground, even though he was denied from mining that patch. Still going to start ferrying units over here. That is hilarious.
Yeah, and he's just going to bank up units there. He's not going to go in right away, because just 2 Zealots and 1 Dragoon wouldn't be able to get a lot done against this Vulture, Marines, and tank here. So kind of wise from Mini to try and bank up units, but we have an SCV up on the high ground to spot, so Rush could see this coming. Be interesting to see. Oh, the Reaver's popping out now. Rush could have sent this SCV down a bit low and would have seen this coming in a bit more of advance to have some time of reaction to deal with it. But at this stage, you only have 1 siege tank. Oh, it gets a shot off on the Reaver before the Scarab detonates, so the shields are almost completely depleted on that Reaver. And now with the high ground position, looks like we might see an elevator in the main as well from Mini, going to be trying to take out a shot on that tank.
A really good shot on the tank there. Gets 1 more. He will get the tank as well. Taking quite a bit of damage on this Reaver, though. I saw a couple of shots go off there from the unsieged tank, actually hitting that. Gonna bring another Dragoon here into the main. Loses it immediately, though, and that tank's gonna be fine. Good pull of the SCVs, keeps those alive. Gonna load up 1 last Dragoon and see if he can get anything done here. Going up to the top part of the main base. 1 more shot. Oh, another dud, it looks like.
Yeah, both those last 2 hits were duds. This third one looks like it's going to dud as well. Unfortunately for Mini, not getting quite the damage that he wants. He is denying a lot of mining time. Oh, he's going to lose the shuttle now, but the Reaver does get unloaded. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do much besides kill a couple of Marines before finally losing its life. There is now an Observer and another Reaver out with that robotics, but needs to produce another shuttle. So it'll be interesting to see if, as well as expanding, if he will continue up with this play by getting speed shuttles and continuing with the Reaver harass to delay the push timing from Rush while trying to take more expansions.
Well, Mini, during all of that action, hopped up to over 1,000 minerals. So you could tell he was really focused on taking or doing some serious damage to Rush during that attack. But what is his follow-up? Another Nexus, some more gateways down in the main. Looks like he wants to go for just a speed shuttle follow-up to this play, but he's probably going to lose this robotics facility at some point, I imagine.
And Rush is going up to 5 factories, so we're going to see a very strong sort of like 10-minute tank push with a lot of Vultures being rallied behind it with in alignment with the +1 weapons upgrade that we're going to be seeing finishing up shortly. So it looks like Rush does want to go soon. Mini does have the shuttle and Reavers to kind of slow this down. He does see the factories. He doesn't see the 5th factory, he only sees 4 factories right now. I'm sure he can kind of figure out that this is kind of going to be the play from Rush, and he's taking a lot of damage on this Reaver for only 1 Scarab shot on the tank, so he might not be able to slow down this push enough.
Damn, that's rough because he's only got 3 gateways here in the main. He's gonna add on a bunch more and another robotics facility as well. That's a good idea because you are gonna end up losing this, I think. This robotics down here at the bottom center. And you just need that extra production. You need that extra damage because 5 factory versus 6 gateway, I think, still favors the Terran pretty much. You need another unit in there. You need some Reavers, and this one's already been damaged. If he loses these two, could get overpowered here, out-muscled by the Terran.
Yeah, we have upgraded Goliaths with the Karen boosters acting as point defense to kind of ward away that shuttle from coming in close as well. Might even get some more damage on this shuttle, going down to 12 HP. Nearly got the snipe on that shuttle. One more volley would have taken that shuttle out. Now Rush going to be pushing across the map. He knows this is the time to go. We're at 10 minutes. We've got the +1 upgrade. We've got a lot of siege tanks and quite a lot of units in production behind that. He can still expand behind this and turn it into a macro game, but with a push like this, he really ideally wants to get some damage done. So either he's going to have to go soon or try and start turtling up.
Well, Mini just going to utilize that robo at the bottom center, that proxied robo for continued observer production and start his own Reavers in the main base. Very scary stuff here, trying to get shots off with these 2 Reavers with this super low shuttle, and he will lose the shuttle. He loses one of the Reavers as well, and that hardly feels worth it, taking 1 shot there from both Reavers for losing the shuttle and 1 Reaver. Man, that is a rough trade. And Rush is just shoving forward here on the high ground. This is such a nice position to siege up in.
Yeah, this is a great position to fortify yourself in and start laying siege to the rally point of Mini. He has had a little bit of time to build up the forces. Zealot's now streamlining in. There is another shuttle with a Reaver of support. Scarab does detonate on the tanks, but there's so many tanks back here, and there's maybe not quite enough Dragoons. Some Zealots are left alive, though, to try and help soften up these frontline tanks. And Mini making a lot of progress, shimmying down forward and taking out these tanks one at a time, getting a pretty good trade so far, and he's all but like held off this push so far. If he can just keep rallying out units and prevent the reinforcements from Rush from encroaching on his position and start setting up mines, he may be able to hold on here.
Yeah, it's surprising how well just pure Dragoon can do against pure tank in the right situation when there's nothing blocking for the tanks, just diving forward and killing off a lot of those. Vulture rally must have been a little bit slow there from Rush. We didn't see it coming across the map until that battle was pretty much over. And now the Vultures are coming out en masse, coming up here to start to lay down their mines, to kind of body block and try to help this push go forward. We don't have a lot of Dragons left over. Most of them were spent in that last fight. Tons of tons of Zealots running forward here, diving right on top of these front tanks. A drop in the back as well. Nice Reaver shot there. But the tanks will survive for the most part, and this last Dragoon is going to get picked off. The rallies from Mini. Can he clear this with this last sort of rally forward? The Vultures are getting cleared up. Oh, pretty good shot there as well. Turrets are coming up here. Rush really dedicated to this push right now. He has to make it work.
Yeah, if he secures this ridge line, it could be really bad news for Mini. So Mini's fighting with tooth and nail to get up on this ridge line. It's the only way he can trade cost efficiently with these tanks, and he is doing a good job of getting up on there and taking out huge pot shots with these Scarabs and whittling down the tank count of Rush. So far trading fairly cost efficiently, but his army is also being slowly whittled down. He's just hanging on by a thread right now, and Rush is also desperately trying to reinforce this position. There is only a handful of tanks left, so if Mini can get enough flood of Zealots out, he could overwhelm the position and flip the table on Rush, but he's gonna have to make that move happen soon.
Here we go, more drops on these tanks. The turrets were not finished. You can see that turret almost finished. Oh, Reaver, 9-kill Reaver. Wait a second. I think we missed something. A Reaver being built down at the bottom center.
Yeah, we didn't miss anything. There's just that proxy robo still being put to use, and like Rush has not had the time to take care of it, but he does take care of the Reaver. Oh, he does take care of one of the units in the shuttle there, I think. I think that Reaver's now only on like 60 HP, so maybe the harass will be there. It does finally die. But a lot of damage was done to Rush during this, so if now Mini can just hang on, he's in a great position economically speaking. I don't think that Rush is able to recover if he's not able to kill Mini here. So Mini also producing some DTs, maybe to kind of spread Rush even thinner than he already is. I'm not sure how much energy he's got on his scanners, but maybe Mini can skirmish down this army and keep wasting scans. Another shuttle's going to be going into the natural. Does get targeted down a little bit by the Goliath and is going to fall in short order, and the Reaver dying to the tank, so not quite finding any more damage there. And Mini desperately trying to get out on the map and find something to work with here, but is slowly getting squeezed out of this game with this position in the middle from Rush.
Is it possible that Rush never found out about that robo down at the bottom center? I feel like he would have killed that before going on his attack path here. But, you know, he just hasn't done that. He hasn't cleared out that area. And this push has been really sandbagged here by those Reavers flying in and just killing a ton of the SCVs. Now, this is kind of a crazy push here. He is going to get cleaned up by the rallies of Rush, and Rush is going to take the opportunity to push forward with those units not in position. He can get his tanks right up here to the natural, and this is the position that's so deadly against Protoss. Here comes the first storm. 2 storms go down. Reavers in the back as well. He's got to focus those down. Pretty good shots there. Kills off one of the Reavers. Gonna lose the shuttle as well. No, shuttle stays alive. Dives on top. Look at this. Gonna get some extra splash damage with that Templar just standing right next to the tank. But the tanks still remain here. A lot of them are very badly damaged. Can he break out? Oh, he's gonna shove forward. Go for the snipes on the Templar. He doesn't have enough energy for the storm here. Bringing forward the Zealots. There's that one Reaver left over. He's gonna get one last shot off. And pushes him back just far enough outside of the range of these pylons and gateways. God, this is a crazy push. It has to work right here, right now for Rush.
Yeah, he has to win the game with this push. If he doesn't win the game, Mini will stay. There's also some harassment in the third base of Mini, clearing up all of the probes. The Observer, I don't think, has caught it. I think he's losing a lot of probes right now in the third base while this is all going on. So it's hard to say exactly if Mini can hang on here. He has lost a lot of his economy at the third base now, so he has lost a little bit of juice. As we can see, the 2 vultures did clear up all of the probes in that base, so there's a good 14 probes went down there, so that's going to really take a hit to Mini's economy. A lot less Zealots will be pumped out from. I'm not sure how many SCVs there are though, so there was a lot of SCVs being killed in that harassment. So if Rush was making SCVs behind that and refortified his economy a little bit, he is drying up in his main base though. Yeah, he is a little bit light on his SCV. This is a really tough game to call. I think Mini can maybe do it, especially if he keeps harassing the mineral line like this from this proxy robo location.
Oh my god, a big transfer of workers here. All of them are gonna get picked off. This is so tough. I feel like this is a game where you actually want to take the middle for Rush. Maybe float a command center out there and just snag that base. Because you're right underneath your push. If you do that base, oh, he's gonna lose these 2 tanks. Oh man, this is getting really bad now.
Yeah, these oh, look at these SCVs. Oh, he has to run the SCVs. He better pray for duds. He needs duds right now because, oh, okay, that was probably one of the best case scenarios for the Terran player. Those SCVs managing to escape with their lives. There could be a lot more dead SCVs. He's going to lose quite a few still, and now looks like the time to go. But Mini doesn't have a lot here actually. These 6 siege tanks are set up really nicely. Beautiful storms from Mini to soften up the units, but there's still not quite enough Protoss infantry to finish them off. So the position is not yet breached. So Mini hanging on by a thread, but has done a great job of restabilizing his economy. Now has a lot of probes mining back at this third base and has a lot more juice, but he has also become mined out. He's only mining on this one base, as is Rush, and that does favor the Terran long term. And right now a lot of probes are going down to the siege tank on the low ground and the vultures in a run-by situation. So right now neither player really has much of an economy going, and everyone's just like trying to get the job done with as few units as possible.
Oh, these DTs coming in. Can he get the tank? Oh, he got it. He got one tank. Is he gonna get the other one? Oh, so close. I think there's just one hit left on that tank. Coming up with the Zealots. He's going to go right for that tank. He knows he has to kill that. Oh, it stays alive. That tank, with the proper scans, can actually hit the probes from the low ground. Very, very frustrating stuff because Mini is completely mined out. This is the only place he's got probes, and one tank shot can kill so many in this position. There we go. Some mines finally being laid down. It does get picked off, though, by that Reaver tank here. gonna be helping out a little bit, but it unsieges at the most unfortunate time in the storms, clearing up the majority of the remaining SCVs. I don't know how many SCVs he has at this point, but it is not many. This is really coming down to the wire here. Another Reaver gonna be brought forward. Oh my god, so many Reavers have been brought into this game. It's crazy.
Beautiful Reaver micro from Mini. This is pure insanity, saying he's still killing so many speeds. The Vulture does slip by into the third base, gonna start picking away at the remainder, and then the High Templar against this game is absolutely nuts, saying it looks like the shuttle's gonna be getting into the main base, but he gets taken down from the turret shot and Goliath volley.
Oh, so painful losing that last shuttle there. I don't think he can make another. He's only got 173 minerals, and he's being completely denied from mining out here on the map.
I think Rush has done it.
I think he's done it, yeah, just barely. He's gonna get these Templar. These are so important right now. Templar are going down. Gonna make an Archon here to keep that last one alive. He has no Dragoons, so Vultures are insanely valuable here.
Yeah, this is the same problem in PvZ. You need Dragoons to escort the High Templars, or they're so brittle and easily exploitable like this. And it looks like, unfortunately, I don't think there's any more money for Mini as well as Rush. So I think Rush has the unit composition required to finish the game, although Mini is still mining a little bit, so it's hard to say for certain how the game will play out. It looks like now Rush is finally completely denying the mining, though, so that should be the nail in the coffin that he needs to finish this game. It's hard to quite tell. I can't see everything on the map right now.
Wow, what a game one, boys. Gonna bring the gas miners out here. Just 3 workers. Okay, actually, he's got a few more. I don't know where those came from. Maybe somewhere in the main base. I didn't see any at the mineral patches there, so maybe they were all stacked up on the gas. But he will get that mineral mining going, and he's finally done it. Diving into the main, he gets the GG. Mini taps out, but a fantastic showing from him. I'm surprised he doesn't get that clapper. Give him the clapper, Shun. That was insane. Alright guys, we're gonna jump into game number 2. I don't know if we can top that one. That was crazy good, but we're gonna try. Let's find out who's coming up next. It's gonna be Rush versus one of these 3 amazing Zerg players. Let's jump into it. Okay, game number 2 here. Shine versus Rush. We got Shine down in the bottom center, Rush over here in the center right. What is this map? I actually didn't know that this map was in the pool. Have we seen this one?
We have not, saying, and I'm also not familiar with it.
Oh boy. Well, it does that area right there, those 2 mineral patches and that little ramp, it's giving me a clue here. I think that is a temple there as well, which you can kill, and then you mine out those minerals, and then you can get up onto the high ground. There's like a high ground base that comes that is kind of behind the main base. You can go up a ramp behind the main base. What is the name of this one? Medusa. There we go.
No, it's a Medusa remake.
Is it? Okay.
It's very similar layout to Medusa. I'm almost certain this is a Medusa remake. Yeah.
All right, Medusa. It's been around for a very long time. Has some pretty interesting there's that temple, some interesting factors here that lead to some kind of cool games. I haven't seen this map for a very long time, so I don't know how it's going to be played in the modern era, but we're going to find out here with Shine versus Rush. Shine, if anyone could take advantage of this map, it's going to be him. He's the bag of builds himself.
There is a really good way you can take advantage on Medusa, and that's by going for a fake Zergling rush into a very quick lair, and you get right into lurkers, and you take out these back temples with the lurkers, and because they're the stacked temples, you kill them super fast, and you run in from behind, and you can kill the SCV line from the high ground, and you can body block the ramp to stop him being able to get up there as well. There's lots of little tricks you can do on this map as Zerg. You sometimes even see Wraith play on this map as a result. Two-port Wraith is a build that you can sometimes see. We're not going to see that here from Rust. It's going to be a very greedy expansion from him with no Marine able to get this command center out really quickly, while Shine is going to be teching on 2 hatcheries, so we could be seeing some cheesy play out of him. We'll have to see if he can get rid of this SCV scout to be able to get away with it.
Seems like Rush just wants to play completely standard. That second rack's coming up here. We'll see how that serves him on this wild map. The third base is pretty much free here for Rush as well as for Shine. Is that a gas base or just a mineral? I think it's mineral only, right?
Yeah, it's mineral only behind the base, yeah.
So it can help Rush, but not going to be too valuable here for Shine. He is going to take it, however. Might as well throw down that third hatch at a fresh base, that back base, rather than just inside the main. If you can get away with it, that will provide some extra minerals, but not an extra gas. He still needs a third gas base somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we may see a mutiling heavy style out of Shine to try and exploit these additional minerals, but he will eventually need to get a third gas, and is now throwing down the Spire. We should be seeing a second gas from him shortly if he's going to be committing to these Mures. There it is. So going to be seeing a 2.5 hatchery style play from him. Very traditional way of playing right now. Sorry, very meta way of playing right now, but will be working on this traditional map, I think, with the way that the base is laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. That 2.5 hatch is very powerful, gives you a lot more units, a lot more larva, but still a decent Mutalist timing you can get across the map and still plan to deal some damage. 3 hatch muta, the traditional way of 3 hatch muta. The mutas are just a little bit too late, and the Terran will have kind of too much turrets, too much marines ready to go. It's really a battle way of playing. It takes a lot of you have to take a lot of trades as the Zerg, but in this style you will be able to get in there pretty darn quick and actually fight this off. And here comes that 8 marine push. Actually 7 marines here with only 1 medic, so a little bit faster, a little bit more streamlined here from Rush. He's gonna hit the stim button but sees those 2 sunkens are finished and we'll just back away.
And we saw a 5-minute factory timing, so very quick tech. Could be Valkyrie, could be something else. It very well might be Valkyrie, especially on this map. I can see it being so, but we'd have to see what Rush wants to go into here. But he made that at 5 minutes, so I can't imagine it will not be Valkyrie.
Yeah, a Valkyrie play is very likely here. Turrets are coming up in the natural just before 6 minutes. You can see these mutas are not slowed down at all by the addition of that third hatch. And the 2.5 hatch very nicely streamlined here by Shine. Even though he had to get 2 sunken colonies, able to get 5 mutas into his opponent's base really quickly here and start to attack these turrets. They're not done. Wait a second, he's gonna get 2 turret building SCVs here before any damage can get onto these mutas, so that's fantastic for him. A great start to this attack, and now some links coming up here as well. There's nothing in the natural. Gonna kill off this supply depot. This is looking bad for Rush, actually. Not dealing with this as he should.
Shine's actually quite intelligent. He's picking off these depots at one of the worst times for Rush. It's going to really heavily supply block him. So it's actually really nice from Shine. He's doing a fantastic job of microing down this bio ball, and now Rush is in a bit of trouble. He's going to be in full turtle mode, trying to desperately squeeze out some Valkyries. And there's only 1 turret controlling the production zone right now, so Shine could get on top of that turret and just get on top of Rush's production right now and finish the game if Rush isn't careful. Going to be swinging around behind this middle line to take some swipe at the SCVs here maybe as well. Oh, instead just going to start dive bombing onto the turrets, get rid of them and open up the whole position, says Shine. And he might be able to get away with that too, because there's not enough Marines to come here and challenge this position right now. So right now Shine opening up Rush's defenses very nicely. Going to now come back down to the tech area and see if there's anything he can get done there, and now going to come back up and do some more economic damage. Shine's doing a great job of like being everywhere at once right now, these mutas.
This is a fantastic play from Shine, actually. I love it so much because you know that Rush has been supply blocked for a while. He hasn't been able to produce Marines, so it's really hard for him to challenge. Also, there were links out in the front as well, so bringing the Marines back into the main base is really scary, because links could flood in at any second into the natural and start to kill some of these turrets. He's losing more supply depots. This is so good from Shine. Just gunning these down, killing off more and more Marines. This is getting really bad.
Oh yeah, this is terrible for Terran. Terran is one of the best races at recovering, but this is a kind of position where when you're against someone of Shine's caliber, he's doing things behind this. I mean, you might be able to counter the mutas by getting these Valkyries out, but eventually there's going to be a tech switch and you'll have a standard Zerg build to follow this up. So you've already taken a huge economic damage. You've been supply blocked for a long time. Your build is now nowhere near optimized, and he's actually not got that many SEVs, is Rush. He's not been able to produce SEVs for a long time, so he's not growing at the moment. So right now he's kind of stagnated in this game while Shine is still getting damage done. He's kind of just standing his ground against the Valkyrie and just ignoring it, gunning down the Marines, and there's also going to swipe down the Valkyrie too. One Valkyrie's not really quite enough to deal with all these mutas. You can bruise them heavily, but eventually with just 3 good volleys, the Valkyrie will fall. We got Lurkers following this up, and even if there was a wall here, he could just knock down these temples. So even if Rush was in a better position, it'd still be hard for him to hold up his attack. So I don't know how he's going to survive with the current position he's in.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way. We've got 2 Marines here in the main. Okay, 4 still. Might as well be none. These mutas are so strong with a full group of 11, I'm sure, plus a ton of Lings and Lurkers running into the front. GG. Rush taps out. Just dominant performance there from Shine, but it really comes back to those turrets that weren't finished in time in the main. That hurt Rush so badly, he was forced to run all the way back into the main with all of his Marines. Allowed Shine to get those 2 kills on the supply depots in the front. Man, that's gotta hurt, man. Just barely off time, and that's all it takes for a Zerg player to take you down.
Yeah, you just skip 1 beat, you're like 5 seconds too late with your turret timings, and these builds are super optimized. One tiny mistake is all it takes for you to just fall apart especially when you're doing these kind of really technical early tech builds. Really hard for Terrans to execute, but they are super strong, so I think it's a very balanced situation to be in. If you want to go for that build, you're going to have to be able to execute it well.
Absolutely, and not only was there that mistake, but kudos to Shine as well for just taking such great advantage of it, knowing exactly how to pull apart a Terran player on 2 bays with that Mutalist clump, just constantly making him run back and forth, picking off areas that he found were insufficiently defended, and eventually running away with that, going into Lurker and just taking that game off of him. Very nice play from him. He's going to be moving on, going up against either Best or Snow. That's coming up next. Well, Shine making it through, takes down Rush in a dominating performance. Now going to be going up against Best here, spawning in the top left. I believe this is Retro. And we'll see what he decides to do on this map. I think you were saying, Shun, that he may end up pulling out one of those crazy builds this game.
Yeah, although I didn't know the map was going to be retro. It's going to be a little bit harder to get away with some of the Hydro Bust builds I thought he might use, although the base geometry is perfect for a 3cm drop into the main. If he does want to go for something super crazy with a Lurker drop, that'd be really exciting to see. But I'm sure Shine has got something planned on this map when going up against Best, so I'm curious to see what that will be.
So when you say 3cm drop, I think you mean the without Overlord speed, just instantly into drop. Yeah, I haven't thought about that on this map, but it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, the way the geometry of the base lines up, especially with him spawning in the bottom left and Best in the top left, it does line up nicely for him to do that if he does want to go for that. Going to be seeing a 11 pool out of Shine. Interestingly enough, I'm curious to see. We saw a very early scout from Best, so it's going to be a Forge expansion from him. We probably won't see anything weird out of Best, so it's going to be up to Shine to kind of dictate the pace of this game. Looks like he's going to be sending his drone down now to expand.
He's ready to take that base. The probe is just barely not going to make it here in time. This is scary though. I don't think I'd like to do an 11 pool because the timing here. If the first probe went in the right direction, you would have definitely been blocked. And even if it went in the wrong direction, if you were cross map, he still would have made it in time. This is the second probe that was sent out, and it almost managed to come in here and block. So the timings feel a little bit dirty, but Shine manages to get the hatchery down. He's going to throw another hatch down at the 6 o'clock as well. And back at home, Best just looks like a Forge expand from here.
Yeah, we see a very quick guess from Shine. That could be an indicator of Ling speed. It doesn't necessarily mean anything cheesy, but he is lined up for a potential 973 currently. He also is lined up to do the speed before the 973 to deny scouting. And that would be a good counter to what Best is doing with the Forge Fast Expand. So would be curious to see if Shine's just going to deal with this game with a straight up 973 for Hydra Bust, but that remains to be seen. Looks like Best doing his best job, pun intended, of keeping this probe alive. He needs to make sure he sees this Hydra Den being thrown down now, which it could very well be. So looks like Shine's not going to be on top of killing this scout anytime soon, so actually you might be seeing the lair.
Yeah, we went up to 100 gas there. I didn't see the lair in the main base. It might be at the natural instead. No, it is here in the main. Goes ahead and grabs that layer first. So speed not gonna be on the menu just for now. I don't see a Hydra Den. Maybe he could throw it down at the third base, but if he throws it in the natural, I think Best will end up scouting that. Only 2 Lings is just not enough to catch this probe. With Best control, he's going to be able to keep that alive for a lot longer. And we may end up seeing just a standard game out of Shine because of the scout.
Yeah, I think it's very likely that might be the case. There's still some shenanigans he could do. He could still do like a 4 hatchery Hydra. He could also do a fake Hydra, drop into the main and then bust the front. There's still a few things he could do, but it looks like it will just be a very standard 3 hatchery Spire into 5-6 hatchery Hydra production, or maybe be more lurker heavy when staying on 5 hatcheries.
There's a Stargate coming up. The Zealot is out on the map as well. It's just kind of hiding itself, obfuscating on the map, trying to find a spot where there's no vision for the Zerg player, but actually walking right underneath that Overlord, completely revealing his position. I would have liked to see him go around up into the 12 o'clock and just kind of leave a bit of a question mark out on the map for Shine, but he sees everything retreating. Shine knows there's nothing on the map and he could just drone from here.
Yeah, I think we're not going to see anything crazy from this point onwards. It's possible that Shine may opt to take a second gas soon and do a bit of Ogre Zerg, but I actually don't think he will. I think he's just going to go straight up into 5-6 hatchery production from here.
We'll see how his standard play is in PvZ. It seemed very, very strong in TvZ, but I don't know. I think Shine might be, playing a long game here. KCM is, not the main focus for any of these players. A lot of them are gunning for ASL victories in the future, and maybe Shine's setting up himself in the mind of these players as, more of a standard beast that can just play it out in a great macro game, and then later in the future in the ASL, in like the round of 4 or round of 8, pull out some of those really ridiculous crazy builds. Keep those hidden for now, because if you get that reputation for always doing crazy builds and that's all you can do, then it's a lot easier to pin you down, and he's just barely not going to catch the scores there.
There is another pair of Scourge moving into intercept. He may get this other Corsair. Oh, grid turnaround from Best, going to be narrowly avoiding that. One Corsair does take one shot from one of these Scourge though, so is kind of getting zoned out by Shine. He probably will get this Corsair if he gives it enough attention, interestingly enough. And I think you're quite right about that, saying. I think that's an astute observation, that it would give him a lot of credibility as a macro player, and then have a higher win rate on his cheese builds, because they will become even less expected than they were originally, and they were extremely expected. And it's like Best doing a great job of keeping this Corsair alive, has managed to turn around, but finally the other Scourge does connect. But the DT slipping into the main base. I hope he hasn't got an Overlord in his main base. This is terrible. He's either going to lose a lot of drones, or he's just going to deny mining for a long time. Probably the latter of those two things, but that's still a lot of damage. Just denying any mining in the main base for even just 30 seconds is a pretty big deal for Shine right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of crazy from Best. Oh, he's brought the drones back a little bit too early. He's going to lose 2, 3.
4.
And that fourth, yeah, that drone on the gas earlier did go down. So 4 total. Very, very painful. Kind of a wild move there by Best. Just run past 5 Hydras into the main. Unexpected there. You could tell from Shine because he was just not ready for that play. He thought he had everything locked down. A bunch of Overlords there in the natural. 5 Hydras. You just can't expect that type of play, man. If he runs back there and blocks the ramp, that DT dies for free and gets nothing done. So, I mean, kudos to Best for having the balls to try and pull that off. It works out for him this game, but I don't think it'll work again in the future.
No, I don't think so either. We have a Scourge going into the main base just previously to check on the tech. He sees that there's currently 5 gateway production from Best, which is the bare minimum we can expect. A Protoss player will either take a third base on at least 5 gateway production or go up to 8 gateways and use that as a timing attack or as a force to bust out of a contain. So far Best is on track to take his expansion, but we might be seeing additional gateways being thrown down momentarily as well. Of course, there's checking the natural of Shine, seeing what's what, seeing if they can pick up any straight Overlord kills, but probably unlikely to do so now with the tech being researched for Overlord speed and maybe a couple of Scourge out on the map going to be warding away those Corsairs. They will not be confident enough to check the map for much scouting because it's just too risky. They could just die for free.
Now, when I think of Shine in this matchup particularly, of course, besides being a cheesy player, I think of him as more of a hive guy. I don't really think of him as a pure layer attack monster with huge macro just kind of bearing down on the Protoss, preventing a third base. I expect him to take another base here, go into Lurker, and get into that hive tech here soon. Is that the kind of perception you have about Shine as well?
Yes and no. He's got a third gas right now. I'm pretty sure he's going to stay Hydra Lurker for a while. I think he's going to be getting at least 2 ranged attacks before making the Queen's Nest and Hive. I'd like to see if that's true or not, but we get a pretty good drone drill from Shine, going to be denying a lot of the potential damage from Best here and cleaned up those Zealots nicely. A few of the Zealots did retreat to the southeast quadrant of the map, so there is still a few Zealots out on the map to put some pressure on Shine and not move out of all of his units, but right now Shine's going to be feeling pretty confident in position, going to be making a lot of Lurkers, and eventually will be moving in to try and contain Best, or at the very least contest this third base that he may be going for shortly.
Yeah, that contain could be really strong. This map, though, unfortunately for Shine, I mean, where do you set up the contain here? If you can shove the Protoss right back into their natural, you can set up a really nice wide contain, but if you go across this bridge, there's just, you know, no real location that you can prevent. Oh, I guess you can go on this high. You know what? Actually, I'm going to roll that
the
back.
Bridge on the outside and the high ground. He's going to contain the outside. He's going to contain outside the bridge here with these Lurkers, and he's going to control the high ground of this other auxiliary force.
Okay, I haven't seen this map a whole lot, but this makes sense actually. There is two. It does make it hard with 2 different positions you have to deny, but that high ground is really hard to break, of course, with Lurkers up here, with Hydras up here. It's going to be so tough to get past this. Some Zealots running in from the bottom right. They try to get some more kills here, but denied by Shine. He's ringing up all the Overlords as well, making sure that he can see these observers, try to pick them off. Here comes Best. That's a lot of Dragoons, but he loses the observer. Not going to be able to push forward for now.
This is exactly the force that Best needs to bust out this huge Dragoon infantry, but he's going to have to make a move now. Now is the time to start breaking out. This position is still weak for Shine, so if he can just keep picking off these Lurkers one at a time, it's going to be great for me. He needs to micro this Observer, though. He's only producing 1 Observer at a time, and Shine did snipe the last one, so he needs to keep this Observer back. Best doing a great job of protecting this Observer while slowly breaking out on this left side flank, so it's actually looking pretty good for Best right now. He can kind of ignore this 12 o'clock. It is going to slow down his third base timing, so he may have to either decide to commit to a big timing push here, because I don't think he's going to be able to cost efficiently secure his third base.
He could have potentially take the third base in the center left as well, but yeah, I agree. This is really showing the problems with this containment on this map, right? You can go up onto that high ground on the right-hand side, but that's not the traditional way of playing out a containment. Having your forces split in 2 different locations. Now he tries to come down and contain the natural, is going to go ahead and run back up onto the high ground here, try to do his best to hold that position still. Doesn't want to give that up just yet. And there we go. We do have him taking that center left. However, there is a moment in time here. Maybe he can run up and snipe the probe. Killing that probe does delay things a bit because the pylon's finishing up. We don't have a probe to throw down cannons right away. That can really slow things down, but doesn't manage to snipe that. A bunch of units get up on that high ground. Best is moving out in full force.
I would have liked to have seen Shine have a small force on this 9 o'clock position to deny Best from just getting up here for free. Would have been really interesting to see that from Shine, denying Best from being able to take this base as well, but I guess he didn't have the forces enough to secure that position. He does still control 12 o'clock, which kind of protects that flank. Now he's only got to worry about securing this choke on the left-hand side. Does want to actually run in there with some Hydras and maybe challenge the position, but Best is just waiting in the wings with his army to move up there and go into the middle at the same time. He's ready to shuffle between the middle and this third base at the 9 o'clock to react to whatever Shine is going to be throwing his way. And looks like Shine's going to be doing a little bit of a muta switch to start sniping some of these Templars. There is already a lot of Dragoons to escort these Templars, but even just a few Templar snipes could be enough to chew up this army after he deals with the storms.
And I was completely wrong about Shine here. Oh man, he eats some big storms. He picks up both the High Templar though. That's a big move from Shine. Investing in those Mutalisks though is a lot of gas, a lot of gas, and that's gonna slow down his hive by quite a bit. He's just diving here on top of these Corsairs, but God, a lot of them die very quickly, and now he's in a bit of trouble here with most of those Mutalisks being picked off. He can't really dive on top of these Templar anymore, and this army is looking very strong.
Yeah, the 3 Corsairs did have +1 upgrades, so even though there was only 3 of them, they bruised those mutas heavily very quickly. If Shine could have split his mutas to try and like spread the damage out a little bit and not take as much, but I guess he was just trying to be a little bit lazy and deal with it. Never mind, he's going to rush in now. All the Hydras, he's in a bottleneck right now. These storms are beautiful from Best, absolutely mopping up most of his Hydra, but he's not got many High Templars left. He's desperately morphing an Archon. I don't see any more High Templars. I think Shine's got the critical mass that he needs to break through this army and absolutely crush the critical mass of Dragoons, which was propping up Best right now. And if he does lose most of these Dragoons, it's going to be really hard for Best to control the center of the map any further.
Yeah, the lack of Zealots during that fight really made up for the fact that Shine didn't have many Lurkers with his army. It was mostly Hydra versus Dragoon throughout that, and a lot of them did die, but Best still retains the advantage for now, pushing everything back. He's got to be careful about extending too far out here, though. Without any Templar, he could get surrounded. +2 is done for the armor of Best, shoving these Overlords back and snagging 12 o'clock as well. This is looking good for him. He needs to get some Templar with this army, but other than that, doing very well here. He's going to be transferring his drones or his probes out of the main base as that mines out, saturating that 4th base really quickly here. His position looking great.
Yeah, the 4th base is extremely easy for Best to defend. 9 o'clock is kind of exposed. I'm not sure about this decision from Shine, trying to push across this ramp. He does kill 1 High Templar for his trouble, but now losing a lot of Hydras in retreat. I'm not too sure about this from Shine. He needs to be really careful with his Hydra count. If he loses the critical mass of units, Best can just roll over him. So he needs to be very careful not to lose too many Hydras with these engagements.
I'm still not seeing a Queen's Nest here, unfortunately. Shine is sticking with this layer play as the 4th base comes up. It's okay, but man, you really do need to start thinking about that late game scenario, taking the entire bottom right quadrant of the map and turtling up with Lurkers, getting into your 3/3 upgrades. He's not going to be able to get anywhere past +2 at this point. And eventually Best will eclipse him in that regard. His upgrades are going to be very strong. He's going to get into Reaver. He's going to get into Archon and all of that. Looks like a drop maybe going to come through, try to pick off some of these probes. I think that Best may be onto this, though.
Yeah, we see another skirmish in the middle of the map. A few Templar do go down for the price of about 7 Hydra. That's actually not a bad price to pay, 7 Hydra for 2 Templar. So that's a small victory for Shine, keeping the storm count low. Looks like we should be going for that Lurker drop soon, I imagine. He has got another Overlord to spot for the potential success of that drop in the 12 o'clock, and he's deciding now's the time to go. He hasn't yet distracted Best though, so he's going to be sending his Hydra's force to distract Best and then go into the Lurkers. And there's another drop at the 9 o'clock with Lurkers as well, so Best might miss the drop at 12. Oh, he does storm it though. He's ready for it.
Oh, big shots though. 8 kills.
So many probes do go down.
Oh, he's gonna focus the probes.
Reaction.
Focus the probes. Oh, not just maybe out of range. Loses that. Quite a few probes went down there, but I don't know if it was enough, man. Shine is loading up a huge drop right now. Where is he going to go with this? I think most of the storms have been depleted at 12 o'clock. But
yeah,
best...
I think 12 is...
Sorry, go ahead.
I think 12 is the spot to attack. Storms are dried up, there's not that many cannons, and Doom drops are generally quite weak for Zerg, and the only position that's weak enough to Doom drop is probably the 12 o'clock, and it looks like Best identifies that. He's going to be shuffling all his army over the 12 o'clock now. Shine is already streaming in with the Overlords, ready to start dive bombing on top of these cannons. There's a few High Templar here, but they're all dried up of energy. There's maybe 1 or 2 storms going to be finishing soon, but not quite yet. 2 storms do go off, clearing up some of those Hydra. The beautiful Lurker egg block on the ramp is going to be shutting out all these units while Hydra start to clean up some of the probes there. But he doesn't quite get the block off on the ramp again. So now the Zealots are starting to slowly stream up there. The Nexus is not yet being picked off. I think now is the time of Shiny to start targeting that down. He might just barely kill this Nexus in time as well.
Oh, 3 Hydras, 4 Hydras, 2 Hydras, 1 Hydra. He gets it. Oh man, that was so close, but at a very high cost to Shine. He takes down that Nexus. The counterattack is going to be fierce here from Best. He's going to be looking to either ram it down Shine's throat, go right for the natural, or will he go for the 4th? Either one is a good choice here. Shine gonna identify Best, moving towards the 4th right here, right now. This is everything. He's got to stop this attack.
Yeah, he's got another huge force from his left side rally that he's going to try and flank in. He's baiting these units into this bridge, and he's going to flank with the rest of the Hydras to pick off the incoming Templars. Gets 2 of them, gets maybe 3 of them, does get all 3, and beautiful Storm Dodge as well. So great skirmish from there from Shine, whittling down the storm potency of this army. But there's still such a huge critical mass of Protoss infantry here, and with 2 observers to boot, it's going to be really difficult for Shine to prevent this attack. He's got a ramp to hold, but no lurkers, so he's just pure Hydra trying to hold off these Zealots. Not going to be that successful so far, bugging out the units a little bit, preventing his attack. Hydra streaming in from the western flank and from the north, trying to slowly whittle down this Protoss army. He's not doing a super good job yet, and he's got some beautiful storms from Best, mopping up the pure Hydra army from Shine. It's going to be very difficult for Shine to deal with this army. He's trying to desperately streamline units from his rally points to come down in and deal with this. Losing this 4th base is going to be really painful for Shine, because it's no reason Best can't also move into the main base and defend from the high ground while also killing the 5th as well.
This is a losing scenario here. If only Shine had a bunch of lurkers on the defense here, he could have bought time for more Hydras to come up and help out. But as it stands, Best cracks this bottom right. He's gonna kill this base here as well. Shine, I don't know what he's gonna do from this position. He's sending units around the side, maybe gonna catch the retreating units from Best here, maybe get a few Dragoon kills, but the loss of mining down here in the bottom right is way more painful than losing these Dragoons, and he's gonna trade relatively well, even as it stands here with a good surround from Shine. The storms are pretty darn good. He does really start to clean this up now. But Best's just going to run up onto the high ground. He's going to fight from that position. He hasn't killed this base actually yet. That's kind of a big deal.
He can snipe it though. He was already on low HP and he's got some Dragoons to hit it, so he will clean this up still.
Maybe if he had saved that base, he would have had a better chance in this game. But as it stands, Shine really limping right now. He's having such a hard time getting that critical mass of units. He doesn't have the gas really necessary to tag up any further. He doesn't have the gas for lurkers. He's just purely pumping Hydras. And look at that mineral patch just about to mine out here at the 3rd base. This is down to the last minerals here right now for Shine. He's got to make something happen, but I just don't see what he can do.
Yeah, it's a really tough mountain for him to climb here. There's so many Templar, and there's a few Dragoons to escort them as well. Look how many Templar. There's like 10 High Templars here, and these huge amounts of storms could be blanketing all of these Hydras definitely coming in. And GG call from Shine.
Wow, that was, what, 10 Templar? Look at him throwing down storms after the GG. Just using up that energy. Best takes down Shine. What? Do I have Shine already crossed off? Why did I cross off Shine? I should have crossed off Rush. But now we can cross him off. It wasn't a mistake, guys. It wasn't
a mistake, it was the clairvoyance, Sam.
Oh man, okay, I'll cross off Rush's name here for this next one. We're gonna jump into game number 3. It's kind of funny. Alright, let's go. Up next, Royal versus Best. We got Royal down here in the bottom left, the red Terran player. Best over in the top right, our blue Protoss. And we're here on Vermeer, it looks like. Vermeer, a fantastic map. I think this is the most balanced map we have so far. What do you think, Shin?
Oh, 100%. And it is the most favorable map for Terrans against Protoss, so Royal's going to be feeling happy about that. And generally speaking, you hear these Terran players, they don't say what map is favored for Terran, they just say what map is the least worst for Terran. And they have collectively decided that this is the map that is least worst for Terran. So I'm sure Royal is happy chappy.
Yeah, for sure. And in cross map, and there's a lot of options here. Can probably see a very nice long macro PvP on this map. There's so many bases to take. Can be a problem with Best, with the Protoss just snagging up tons and tons of resources all over the place, but Terran's still gonna have a good job pushing over those high ground areas, all over those ridges, and easy locations to hold in order to take 4 and even 5 bases.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be seeing the 12 Nexus coming out from Best, and he is cross map, so he's going to be feeling exceptionally good about that when he realizes that Royal's in the bottom left. So far we only see one gateway. I'm curious to see if he will go for the second gateway safe variation, where we cut some probes to be safe against any bust. But when he sees that he's not going to be cross map, I think that when he sees that he's going to be cross map, I think that he may even not bother about that and not have to cut many probes either. So this is going to be a dream scenario from Best on this map, getting away with his 12 Nexus cross position. I wonder what Royal's response is going to be. He may just decide to bite the bullet and make non-stop SEVs, and if Best does try and do a safe variation of this build where he cuts workers and makes zealots, then Royal will actually end up being relatively even with him in that scenario. So I'm curious to see if he'll be able to force out Best to cut workers here, or if Royal does want to go for a committal and deal with this straight up and just go for a pull the boys situation and send in the SEVs.
Well, he sees the Nexus now. It's gonna be a big collective sigh from all of the Terran players out there. This is not what you like to see. Nexus first cross map is just so hard to deal with. Royal, he's gonna throw down a command center here. You can't really get across this map. It's so big, so long. Even with just one gateway, the most greedy follow-up to that fast Nexus, there's just not really much that Royal can do, and Best is gonna get away with this. He's gonna send a Vulture across the map, but a Dragoon will be out shortly, and Best should be able to hold on against everything. This is gonna be a tough game for Royal.
Yeah, Best is just gonna maybe lose 1 or 2 probes. He'll lose the scouting probe to this Vulture, and he may lose 1 or 2 more probes before the Dragoon can deal with it. So he actually might lose a few probe kills here if he micros this Vulture correctly. So this could be a good opportunity for Royal to kind of equalize a little bit. Does get another follow-up 2 probe kills, so, and gets away with the Vulture relatively unscathed as well. So a great play from Royal there, kind of evening out the game just a little bit and going for that fast starport tech. Probably going to be for a Vulture drop follow-up, which would be an absolutely fantastic way of trying to combat this early economic advantage. They're going to be getting into the main base with the Vulture, Sen.
Oh my god. Some incredible micro from Royal so far, gunning down the probe so well. I can't tell you how hard it is to shoot a probe, you know, micro the Vulture and get a follow-up shot on the exact same probe when they're in a transfer line like that. It's incredibly hard to click the right one, but he manages to do it multiple times there, gets quite a few kills with that first Vulture, and now, yeah, this Vulture follow-up drop is going to be insanely damaging here, I think. Best is setting up his pylon wall. He needs to get that as quickly as possible so that he can just leave one Dragoon here in the front and hopefully put some more Dragoons in the main base.
No, the interesting thing about Probe saying is that the unit sprite doesn't line up with the hitbox, so it looks like they're actually much bigger than they are. It's actually kind of like almost Zergling size, the hitbox that you have to click on the probes. You kind of have to envision a smaller unit wearing a suit, and you kind of ignore the shell of the probe and have to click directly in the center. So very hard to click on individual probes. You do want to practice that on a UMS map or something, so you can get in the habit of being able to click on them accurately enough, especially if you want to be able to target fire them properly with vultures. So it seems like Royals definitely picked up that skill set. Dropship now going to be finishing up and flying out to the northern threshold of the map to come in soon and probably do a lot of damage to Best if he can't sniff it out. He does need Dragoons set up in his main base and his natural to prevent major damage, but looks like he could just drop like two vultures in the natural and maybe one in the main, or go for two in the natural, two in the main. Either way, I think he's going to get quite a lot of damage done. There's 3 Dragoons set up in the natural, which is the perfect amount to deflect this. Let's see if Royal can adjust his drop quickly enough to still get some damage done. The probes are kind of still exposed though. The Dragoons aren't quite in position to deal with this, so he still might lose a lot of probes here.
Oh, Dropship's going to take quite a bit of damage. He's going right for it. Actually focuses down the Vulture after a moment of delay there. Now Dropship going to fly straight on through. Takes some damage from this Dragoon, but it looks like it will end up escaping. He's going to kill as many probes as he can. I don't think that was too much damage though. Pretty well handled by Best overall. Getting one last probe. Nope, not even going to get that. Denied here. Oh, a run by into the natural. Here we go. This follow-up damage could actually be good. Not actually focusing down every probe. Mine gonna go off. Kills off a couple more probes. Pretty darn good. And Royal really limiting the economy. I think he's definitely made up for that early Nexus.
Well, one thing to note is when he got out with the dropship alive and got a lot of follow-up probe kills, the drop was not successful until those 2 vultures did a run by into the natural and got those additional probes and denied mining. So overall, it was a very successful drop from Royal. The Nexus is slightly delayed from Best, but only by about 20-25 seconds. So he's still on a good economic curve. Observer going to be running into the main base of Royal right now to confirm the exact tech pattern. Going to be seeing those additional factories being laid down. One thing to note is that while the Dragoons are on the Protoss side of the map, you don't have to make tanks. You can be aggressive and make pure vultures as long as the Dragoons are back at their base. So Royal getting maximum value out of his production thus far. Another 2 vultures going to be shimmying on down to the natural third to see if there was any probe transfers that he might have been able to intercede and maybe get some easy kills there, but slightly mistimed. The Nexus was slightly delayed, so the probe transfer wasn't yet transpiring.
Yeah, and this is fantastic play from Royal. I mean, getting in there with the Vulture, the first one, and then getting in with the drop again, means that he's had complete information about what Best is doing, and that's allowed him to skip turrets here. Not only has he, not built a lot of tanks in the early game and got his factories a lot quicker, he's also skipped those turrets. So just everything really working out perfectly so far for Royal in terms of his economy. What is this shuttle doing? Oh my god.
It might be a fake drop. He is going a Reaver tech, I believe, but that might just be a fake drop to kind of scare Royal a little bit. There's no other reason for it to just be sitting there doing nothing, so yeah, I imagine it's just to scare Royal a little bit and put the fear of God in him.
What am I looking at? I've never seen this before in my life. Best just pulls the shuttle into the natural, then just sits over top of everything. I guess not having any turrets there means that shuttle's allowed to just kind of sit, but I mean, it really should be picking up a Reaver right now and going in for some damage. Best gonna take the 12 o'clock. Oh my god, a Wraith comes out. Absolute worst case scenario.
Yeah, losing this shuttle for free is not a good scenario to be in. There is a couple of Zealots in here, but yeah, very weak drop from Best. Maybe he was hoping that there would be some siege tanks that he could drop those Zealots onto to snipe off, but wasn't able to get anything done with that. And would have been nice to, you know what, maybe there's one game where he makes 2 Templars and he sticks those Templars in the shuttle and he's researching Storm and they're slowly gathering energy, and Royal's wondering why are you just chilling there at the shuttle, and suddenly the Templars pop out and storm his entire mineral line. Maybe we'll see that in the future. Maybe Best was setting up for like some crazy play in the future. Who knows what kind of mind games these guys are thinking of.
Hear that, guys? The mental gymnastics trying to give Best the benefit of the doubt there. I think he just forgot. I think he just forgot, man. That was crazy. That was really, really wild. But yeah, he doesn't get anything with that draw. The shuttle definitely was meant to do some sort of damage to maybe some siege tanks, as you said. But in this situation, it just did absolutely nothing. And I think we can attribute that to maybe some fluster going on for Best right now, who's been harassed to hell this entire game by Royal's Vultures. He's dealing with drops everywhere. He's trying to protect his probes. It's not working that well, and then now he's lost that drop. He's gonna lose a bunch more probes here too, getting in before the cannons.
Yeah, this is beautiful from Royal. He's going to get so many probes. There's nothing here set up to defend right now. Oh, he's targeting down the cannon. This is not what he wants to do. He kind of is stretched thin on his multitasking with his macro cycles. He should have just shift-clicked to the probes with his vultures so they could start targeting them down while he went back to his macro cycles. Unfortunate missed opportunity there from Royal.
Yeah, he could have gotten like 4 or 5 more probes out of that run by there into the fourth, excuse me, but unfortunately not able to do so. Now looking to take a 5th here, Best expanding out further on the map as Royal just sort of turtles up here in his 3 base and gets those double upgrades rolling. Royal is going to push out with an insane army here pretty soon. I don't know if he wants to take a 4th though first. 4th here on this map, pretty easy to take. You just move down towards the right hand side there. Take that high ground area, take that ridge line, and it's pretty easy to hold from there.
Well, he may be waiting for Best to expand into this northwest quadrant so that he can expand to the 9 o'clock position and attack and defend at the same time. He could take the 6 o'clock, but it does require you to mine up a rather large swath of area. So I'm curious to see if he will go for a more defensive 4th and take this 6 o'clock, or if he's waiting to push on this vertical vector and take the 9 o'clock behind the push.
Definitely a possibility there. That's more of a StarCraft 2 way of playing, but it's sort of seeped on into StarCraft 1 as well.
3 speed shuttles saying, so he's going to be setting up for like a kind of poor man's recall of maybe a lot of drop in the main base to devastate the economy of Royal. There is a single Wraith that's not able to dish out enough damage to intercept these and prevent one from unloading. He does get one fairly low, but the Reavers do get out, and there's a huge swarm of Zealots going to come in here and help deny the grades on here. Going to be targeting down these armories with the Scarabs, very quickly dealing with that. Looks like Royal going to be denied those upgrades. Did they actually finish? They did stop spinning on those armories, so either he cancelled them to make room for macro cycles, or they actually finished just before they got sniped. I want the observer to click on one of these Terran units because I'm not sure if the upgrades got denied or not.
I think that they just barely finished up in time. It will delay the next upgrade because he'll have to remake those armories, but much better than losing that +2 there. It looked like he almost started a cyclone on his ramp there as well. All the tanks were kind of glitching on top of each other. That can be really painful. It could even lose you a game if your units just get completely clumped and stuck in that location. Looks like 6 o'clock will be the choice for Royal. He takes that base after dealing with the drop there into the main. Still a relatively successful drop, but I would have really loved to deny those space. Just a little bit off on the timing on that for Best.
Going to be going for this 6 o'clock more passive expansion to start splitting the map horizontally, while Best is taking the northwestern quadrant. He's going to start to set up gateways there as well. Best's going to be going into this late game gateway man style that he likes so much, only having like 1 or 2 control groups of Dragoons and filling the rest out with Zealots and Speed Shuttles and Storm to help deal with the huge Terran army. The Storm is a great counter to the upgrades of the Terrans, as it does true damage and bypasses that armor. And it looks like now Best is going to be streamlining in a few shuttles, unloading some High Templars to lay down some Storms. Beautiful D-Matrix going to be coming out to save that one tank, and this beautiful spread of tanks, making it really hard for Best to attack in here. Best is one of the best, unironically, at dealing with these kinds of Terran setups, but he just doesn't have enough this time, and it's just all the Zealots dried up really quickly, and there's nowhere near enough Dragoons, so he did his best to try and thin out the herd of the tank count, but wasn't that successful in his endeavor. So right now Royal ahead in supply and going to be using that as a trigger to start pushing his army north.
Yeah, it looks like he's heading out on the map for a counterattack here. Best sending in his units a little haphazardly for that attack, honestly. Ends up with the Zealots kind of in the back. After a lot of the Dragoons have died, they actually make contact with the tanks, and the spread was really, really good. So Royal takes a way better engagement there, and now using that as a jump-off point to start to break down some of these bases in the top left. He's definitely going to get this natural. Whether or not he goes up into the main remains to be seen, but he probably could get the base just north of this, the one over at that third base in the top left quadrant. Here comes 3 drops over down to the 6 o'clock. He's going to kill these tanks really, really quickly. I think we should see a lift here from Royal very soon. Just back away from this position and reset up that base once the rallies clean up these Protoss units. Wow, getting a lot of Zealots on top of these tanks. It's actually killing a remarkable amount of them.
Yeah, so many Zealots just streamlined down from his rally point to help mop up some of those tanks. This is how you want to... Oh, DTs! He doesn't see it. He doesn't scan. All these tanks could die if Royal doesn't notice. He's going to lose all of these. He noticed, he scans finally, but he's lost so many of the siege tanks already. The damage has been done. He's microing away the tanks. He lost so many tanks up here. I still think he maybe kills this base up here, but he lost a lot of siege tanks for that, and meanwhile had his 4th base denied, so Best still in the okay position. He is also taking this natural third in the top left corner of the map, so he's still going to keep his economy alive and growing. Currently now like 25 supply ahead of Royal, so has kind of equalized a little bit. Might even be able to save these probes in the top left if he can just rally out a few more units to streamline up there. He could also save these probes. It would be huge for him. He's got a shuttle coming in to try and help deal with the few units that are left in this formation up here. Zealot bombs going to be trying their best, and TT's coming out from the gateways as well, so we'll be cleaning up all of these tanks in the top left. And he did lose the Nexi, but he isn't going to be losing all these probes critically, and now he can transfer them to the natural third and keep his economy alive.
Yeah, he keeps those gateways alive as well. That's very important to get gateways in another location. Here's a storm drop as well, not really getting the damage he was looking for. Might have been a better target here in the natural, but for now just gonna go ahead and chill over top of this empty ground. Whoa, he just killed one of his own SCVs. Betrayal. What the heck was that?
He attack moved down into the expansion to deal with the shuttle drop and accidentally clicked on the SCV.
Must have been. Now the Wraith comes up, clears that out, and Bez clearing the mines off of this side of the map. But we've almost got a full reset here. Everything's been set back to about 5 minutes ago when Bez had the top left and Royal has that bottom center. He's trying to take the center left. I don't think Bez sees this, actually. Otherwise, he would have come in there and snapped that base, I think.
Yeah, he's got some Dragoons nearby. He might sniff it out soon. And currently, we've got 2-2 upgrades for the Protoss against the 3-1 of the Terran. So if Best can keep these upgrades coming and finally get his 3-3 online, he might still trade quite effectively with these tanks. And with the storms kind of supplementing for splash damage and tearing through the armor of the Terran army, he might still be able to bust this position. Royal's got just enough supply to hold these 5 bases for now, but Best will restabilize a little bit and start taking these other expansions. So I still think that Royal's in a really great position, but Best has done a good job of keeping him back and kind of stabilizing the game state a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you there. I don't think he has enough supply to hold 5 bases. He's just doing it by the skin of his teeth here. The fact that Best hasn't spotted that center left base is kind of big right now. He's getting a lot of extra income. He can get that gas online here as well. I mean, the longer that base goes unscouted, the better it's going to be here for Royal. Eventually, he will be able to move forward and actually secure this high ground here, secure this ramp, and then he will have enough to hold this base. But if Best gets in there before then, he can definitely deny that location.
Well, the main base for Royal is now becoming mined out as well as Best, so if Best can keep Royal from growing for much longer, maybe he can secure a victory in the coming minutes, but it's going to be telling whether or not he's going to take much damage. And he's doing a great job of actually storming all these vultures and denying them from sniping the High Templars. There's a great play from Best there. Does have to morph those all into Archons afterwards, but he stormed all of those vultures, and Royal doesn't really care about those vultures at this stage in the game. As long as they've laid their mines, they're going to be all right to throw away to try and do as much damage to Best as possible. But he also needs to be careful from counterattacks. If he throws away a lot of vultures to some of these raids and then suddenly Best comes in for a counterattack, he's not going to have enough vultures to mop up the huge swarms of zealots that Best's going to want to throw at him.
Royal's still getting away with this hidden base right now. It's kind of blowing my mind. I think that Best, looking back at the replay, is going to really be kicking himself here for not scouting this location. He's got a observer just below here. Not really spotting this base though. Kind of a useless observer at this point, just sitting there over the third base location. These goons could easily walk just a little bit more to the left and start to deny that base. But now Royal, he's mobilizing his army, he's putting all the hotkeys together, and he's going to start heading north here soon. And now that window of opportunity to dive in on that fifth base is going to be closed.
Yeah, because Best didn't scout this base, I think that it's going to be really hard for him to hold this push. It's possible he may scout it just as it's too late as well. Ooh, beautiful storms on those frontline tanks, going to be softening them up, but he needs to make so many units to deal with this push. Not only is he going to lose most of his army fighting it, but he's going to have to remax out quickly and then probably still may not hold it. So Best is gonna have to do one of the best holds of his life right now. It's gonna be a huge army moving up to the north. Royal's almost maxed out already. He's gonna have a little bit more in the bank as well to keep pumping units as he moves forward. There's a huge fleet of shuttles ready to go in and pounce on him. Actually, a lot of these tanks are unsieged and pulling back, trying to get into a better position. A huge, massive zealot bomb, kind of a poor man's recall on top of those tanks, but it's gonna be cleaned up really nicely from Royal. And now it looks like Best is a little bit on tree. Finally does see the space at 9 o'clock, and it's going to be streaming in his Dragoons to try and deny that. Huge EMPs going off the High Templars as Royal pushes north to try and take this ridge line away from Best. Best doing his darndest to try and slow down this push while he gets the snipe off on this 9 o'clock. Heals up all of those SCVs and will be killing this CC2. So great play from Best, but there's a huge push coming from behind this, and he needs to be able to buy as much time to get as many cycles units out. And he's going to be hiding his units in the left-hand side. He's going to lose all these units for free essentially, but it is going to be slowing down the push of Royal.
Yeah, all these units are going to go down. He's going to try and trade for a couple of tanks, maybe gets one or two, but in the end these will be picked off. Another shuttle coming down here. Those were some of the worst zealot bombs I've seen in a while actually. What Best did with like 5 shuttles, dropping them all on a position that didn't even have any tanks under it. Getting mopped up pretty easily, but I'm surprised how well he's done even after making that blunder. He's gonna throw down one more storm. No, does get stopped there. Royal, he reclaims that 5th base location, but he does not have the command center anymore. He's actually gonna be floating one up. I'm not sure where that's from, but it's gonna be floating over to that 5th base, and he's pushing northward now, expanding behind his push here. As you said before, laying down mines on the right hand side would be super beneficial right now for Royal. Denying those units from coming here to try and stop this push. Actually looks like Best maybe thinking about going for a counter, sending his army southward instead of up towards this top left hand corner. Where is he going with his army? Maybe for the 6 o'clock base from Royal?
Yeah, there's nothing. It's a really untenable position for Best. In his mind, he understands that he can't engage the Terran army head on, and he has to go for something else. It's just that there's not a lot he can achieve with this counterattack, so I think he's going to try something at the 6 o'clock and then probably will GG out when he realizes that he's not going to be able to deal with this huge army of Royal. And Royal was actually being very fluid and was prepared to pull his army all the way back. So really what Best was doing was just trying to outmaneuver Royal and force him to pull back across the map to kind of delay the push on this northwestern base. But all it's really doing is delaying the inevitable for Best right now. He's not even maxed out, and he's still not got much of a bank. So we have a maxed out Terran army that's going to be exceptionally hard to deal with. A storm going down on one of these science vessels to hopefully pick one of them off. But there's not really a lot of units here to fight from the high ground. If you had more storms from the high ground, maybe it's a position you could hold for a lot longer, but unfortunately we instead see Best going for a counterattack at the 6 o'clock. Zealot streaming in. There's only a few siege tanks. The D-Matrix does go on one of the tanks, and there is a turret there making the Dragoons advance slow down just a little bit, but there's not enough tanks to hold the position, so it looks like that Best might get the snipe off at the 6 o'clock, may be able to kill a lot of these SCVs and maybe even the CC. Storm's going off to kill all the retreating SCVs, so it does clean up a lot of the economy for Royal, although there's still such a huge Terran standing army out on the map. They're going to be cleaning up this northwestern base relatively easy. I'm not sure if he's going to get the snipe on that command center, actually. He might even save the command center at the 6 o'clock, so really great play from Royal, not even losing that command center there, while also cleaning up the space in the top left. I think this is going to be a lights out for Best here soon.
Yeah, Royal splitting his army, sending a lot of that back. He doesn't manage to save the 6, but he still kills the base in the top left. And Best, man, he did secure center right, so you gotta give him that at least, but his supply is so much lower than Terran. We're already at the position right now where Royal has that maxed out army with 3-3. Best likewise has 3-3, but he just doesn't have that max. And at this point in the game, in order to take on a Terran army of this size, you need to have a maxed army yourself, and you need to have a big bank to start to replenish that army immediately after taking your engagement. And he just does not have either of those two things. He's going to be maneuvering around a little bit here, trying to find ways to stay in this game. But I think his options are running very, very short here. Royal starting to expand to the top left. You can see the red on the map right now. He has half this map and he's claiming it all.
Yeah, it's just a big virus on the map that's going to slowly start spreading and infecting the other side. And at this point, he could almost attack move with his whole army. And as long as he didn't move through storms, he'd probably still crush anything that Best could throw at him. It's a really hard position for Best to be in. And Royal's being so tentative with this push forward and slowly shuffling and leapfrogging his units forward and making sure that he never has to worry about taking a bad engage either. Is going to be probably scanning around the map to make sure he keeps track of Best's army while he does start to move over to the east. He's going to eventually squeeze out Best on this map. It looks like Best is going to try and shimmy on to the left-hand side and pull back Royal's army to the left again, just to delay him a few more cycles of units to see if Best can fill out his unit supply closer to max, but he's not even able to do that. He's so poor right now. He's deciding probably now is the time to go. He's going to attack west across this ridge line, and there's so many vultures and tanks, but they're not quite yet sieged up, and they are all on top of mines. So if there were a lot more shuttles of Zealot bombs, they could have been more effective, but it wasn't able to do so. Instead, lots of side storms going to be going down on those units. Not the best storms either. Most of these tanks are in the back, and they're all clumped up. Oh, the Zealots are going to start to track these mines, though. He could blow up all of these tanks with these mines. It's really bad from Royal that he's sieged up on those mines, and that's going to come back to haunt him as Best starts charging through and cleaning up most of these siege units of Royal. And it looks like even though he's able to do that, though, I don't think there's enough economy behind this for Best to completely take the game. But that was a great play from Best, showing that even when all odds are stacked against you, you can find that one engagement to start giving you a glimmer of hope and start reducing the tank count of Royal here.
Yeah, it's still a very tough situation, but he is getting on to the center left base here. He's pushing back a lot of these tanks, killing off a lot of them as well. Man, if he had just one more shuttle with some zealots in it, dropping on top of those tanks, he might have just wiped that entire army. Such a bad position for Royal to siege up in, on top of those mines, and the siege was incredibly late as well. You really have to be so careful when trying to take down a Protoss. Even from a large advantage, it's so easy to throw the game to your opponent. I don't think he's quite done that here. Best doesn't have any other bases. He's really low on the minerals. His overall miner count is incredibly low. He's just behind his opponent in supply as well, and vultures are now starting to get some real value here over in the top right hand corner. He's going to pick off a couple more Templar, actually forcing that Archon. Still worth it. Yeah, Best is just limping so badly here. He's got nothing to work with. 400 minerals in the bank, but the income is just so slow. He's going to get surrounded here with the mines. Royal pushing forward, cleaning up the remainder of this army. This may be the tap out moment here. as Best falls down to just 70 supply.
Yeah, there's just no way for him to secure any additional expansions without pulling himself out of position and being surrounded and killed. So really unfortunate for Best here. He's going to maybe make one last ditch effort at coming around to the northwest and trying to hit these expansions. If he could somehow break this line and deny the mining in the top left, there's some small chance he could come back in this game. So he's going to make one last ditch effort of streaming in Zealots and a few Dragoons to make that happen. But there's just so many mines and tanks here, it's not going to work, I don't think. There's enough vultures to start soaking up some of these Zealots as well. The Zealots are making their way on top of the siege tanks and start picking them off, so it looks like maybe he will break this position a little bit, but by the time he's finished killing some of these siege tanks, the rest of his infantry is going to be all but dried up.
GG. Best taps out, and Royal takes away that victory. Yeah, even if he broke that position, there were still tanks on high ground in the top left. It was going to be able to hold those locations and continue on in that game. Royal taking down Best there is going to move on to our next game. It's going to be either Queen or Soma. The all kill is off the table now. No possibility of an all kill here this week. We're going to continue on with our next game though. It's coming up just a moment. On to our next game here in the series, Royal versus Queen. Queen spawning down here in the bottom right, Royal in the bottom left. It's on Neo Sylphid. A great matchup to follow up that crazy game between Best and Royal. Let's see how Royal handles this Zerg matchup. I'm feeling a Hydraless game here. Maybe a Hydra Defiler.
It's possible, but I actually think what's more likely is an overpull into an early third hatch on location into Hydra Defiler. I think it's actually more likely from Queen here in this position on Neo Sylphid.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant, but that's probably what we're going to see. It's very popular on these maps where you don't have an easy accessible fourth gas. Yeah.
I thought you meant he was going to Hydro Bust because it's a flat map. Because you can do a Hydro Bust on flat maps like this.
No, it's actually not too bad Hydro Busting when they have a wall as well. Going for a Lurker Bust can be really strong too. But yeah, I actually meant a third base on location. Probably in the center right, that high ground, or down at the bottom left, although that is very close by air to Royal space.
We have seen this style a lot more lately. It does seem to be a very strong meta, especially on maps like this. We've got this ramped third that we can easily put a hatchery down. We can get just barely enough lings out to ward off any pressure from the Terran so that we can get away with being a little bit greedy. We see this drone making its way over to the third base now. SCB also moving over there to try and maybe block that from being placed down for a while, forcing these links to come and have to deal with this first. Looks like some decent drone micro from Queen initially, trying to get some damage on that SCB to make this easier to kill as these links come in. Is going to be trying to block this hatchery for as long as possible.
Yeah, that was some good micro. It is possible to hit this SCV and actually take it out without taking damage, but incredibly hard when the opponent is as strong as Royal with that early game micro. He does manage to get that down though with the addition of those lings, and Royal here, he's gonna throw down his command center after building about three Marines. So maybe he was considering some pressure there. Usually you don't build this many Marines when you have that wall, am I right?
He definitely wants to put on pressure, and he may even want to force Queen to have to commit some drones to defending, but it's going to be very difficult for him to get across the map in such a way that surprises Queen. He may even try and just kill the Overlord here by floating the barracks and gunning that down. It's another reason to make those Marines early to try and kill this Overlord really quickly before it can navigate away to safety. It looks like he's really not going to get it though.
Oh my god, that survived? Unbelievable. Killing that first Overlord is huge. It's so important. It really slows down the Zerg by a lot. Cannot be understated. It manages to escape though, and this play from Royal is going to be completely thrown off. There's still open supply here for Queen. He might have actually made an extra Overlord just to compensate. You can see 19 out of 34 right now.
Yeah, he definitely did say, and he expected to lose that. Royal may even think that he killed it, but he didn't click on his Marines to check the kill feed to see if they actually had a kill on there or not. So I think he actually thought that he maybe killed it or just didn't want to waste time anymore. He's now going to be going into the third base of Queen and start gunning down this hatchery. First going to be moving his Marines to behind the Mariners and start making a bunker for safety to make it really hard for these Lings to trade effectively with them.
Oh, the SCV moving to the right-hand side was perfectly timed there. If it had been out on the left, an exposed position there, the Lings could have killed that really, really quick, and the bunker would not have finished. Now, as it stands, we're going to get all these Marines inside the bunker. This position is really, really good. You can see the SCV at the back. You can just repair that. There's no way to get on top of the SCV and actually kill that. This is a pretty nasty position here for Royal to be tucked away in. The Lings come forward, they kill one of those Marines, but a lot of Lings sacrifice, and finally the Sunken will finish, so at least he's going to eventually be able to clear this out. But a lot of damage on this hatchery, a lot of annoyance here for Queen.
Yeah, Royal was desperately trying to shoot down the creep colony as it was morphing. If he did get it down to 100 HP by the time it morphed, it would have been on 1 HP and he would have been able to snipe it, but it ended up living with like 78 HP or so, so it wasn't able to get the snipe on that Sunken. Would have made this even harder for Queen to deal with. Now he's going to just pop the bunker and come in and clear up the rest of these Marines with some Lings, so nicely dealt with by Queen, but was forced to make quite a few Zerglings in that process. Now going to be teching up to Lair, getting his Spire, and setting himself up for the mid-game phase where he's going to turtle up, put on some harass to kind of keep Royal in his base, get some map control while he starts to tech up to Defilers and get that critical mass of Hydras and Plague, and just become too much of a nightmare for Royal to deal with such a cost-efficient Zerg army.
Yeah, that's a lot of Lings he's been forced to produce here, though, in the early game, and those are not going to be very useful against these fire bats that are coming across the map right now. Yeah, Queen sees this army. He does not want any part of that. Gonna back away to his Sunken colonies. 2 on the high ground over here at the third, 2 on the low ground here at the natural. And that should be enough to hold on, but again, damaging Queen's economy here by forcing out more defenses than he really wants to build. Royal doing a good job of that. He's going to continue to shark around here, looking for some Lings and just slowing everything down here for Queen by quite a bit. Throwing down those turrets now in the main, getting prepared for the next stages. But I think Queen's mutas are going to be pretty late here, significantly delayed, and quite a bit less potent than they would regularly be.
It's essentially just a free hatch muta timing, so the mutas are popping out a whole minute later than usual. In fact, just slightly more than they would be normally. They should be arriving at the Terran base more or less now if it was a 3 hatch muta play. So yeah, exceptionally slow mutas, more or less just going to be used for map control and maybe doing a dive later on to try and snipe some SCVs when he gets up to like 8 mutas or so, to try and reduce the economy of Royal just a little bit and slow him down while he's teching up all the way to high.
And Royal with that beautiful scan right as the Queen's Nest goes down, he can set his timer for when the hive will be finished. Now he knows exactly that timing. Gonna have to defend these supply depots up at the front. He doesn't have that many turrets here in the main, but he's adding on more. Getting a few over here at the barracks as well is very, very important. Going up to 3, maybe 4 racks play. I find 4 racks play really, really powerful, especially combined with Valkyries, but he may not want to do that since he's scouted out there's a transition coming here for Queen.
Yeah, you essentially need 4 barracks production if you want to have any chance of getting any kind of map control going into the mid-game phase. 3 barracks is just not enough to cut it against the level of mutant micro we see from players these days, so you do kind of need that 4th barracks to get a critical mass of bio to be able to get out there. Looks like Queen going to be taking some shots off at this Marine count of Royal as it's chilling in the natural, so going to be trying to whittle down anything he can, but not really yet committing with his mutas. Is Queen wanting to keep every HP ready to use to slow down any pushing that comes out from Royal. Would have liked to have seen him maybe dive into the main a little bit, but right now it's being very cautious.
So far we haven't seen any additional hatches being thrown down. It's just an evolution chamber from Queen, but I'm expecting here any moment for 2 more hatches to get thrown down in the main base and tons of hydras to start production. There we go. There's the first hatch, and we should see another 1 or 2 more here in a moment's time. As that hive finishes up, the defiler's mound going to be thrown down as well, and we are going into that hydra game we were talking about earlier. Plagues are going to be very important here. It's going to be super difficult to be dodging all of those plagues, but Royal, his red marines, hopefully they don't get any redder with that catch-up in the future. Oh, jeez, picking off some of these marines here at the back. A really nice pull out there as the bottom Mutalisk gets irradiated in the pack. That was some insane splitting to keep those Mutalisks in high HP. Very well done so far by Queen.
Yeah, really exceptionally executed by Queen. Now we have a Defiler mound for the around about 10 minutes. He's looking rather stellar, I would say. As long as he can just hang in there a little bit longer, he's going to be in a great spot. It's going to be really hard for Royal to deal with. We have a Nidus Canal set up and a great Overlord spread for scouting to make sure any potential drop would be spotted coming in, and we'd better mitigate any possible damage that Royal could do to him. So kind of Queen's like crossed all the T's and dotted all his I's so far.
Yeah, I don't see any Scourge mixed in with these mutas, but this is about the time when those dives can be really effective, bunching up just a few Mutalisks with a couple of Scourge or 4 Scourge, and trying to bomb onto these science vessels can be really strong in this position. We're gonna have to watch as this game progresses. The number of science vessels will indicate the position here for Royal going forward. As that number continues to grow, his position will continue to get better and better. So far, just 4, making his way over towards the natural. Is going to get that first round of irradiates out on some expensive units here for Queen.
And he has like a lot of macro hatcheries down, so ooh, first irradiate goes down on the Defiler. He could have... Oh, look at the eraser trick. So many drones cannot make it to the Nidus in time. Beautiful play from Royal, taking out the entire drone line from Queen there. Phenomenal play.
Oh, this is a perfect example of why it's important to have Scourge ready to go. I was just talking about the bombs on the science vessels, and then Royal dives straight on in, just identifying immediately without a second's delay that there was a lack of Scourge and anti-air at that natural. Kills so many drones, and there's the Scourge now, but they're just too late. This is looking really difficult now for Queen as he tries to re-drone while simultaneously throwing down tons of hatches. Wow, 4 macro hatches in the main. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's already got his production in high swing. He's got currently, I believe, that's 7 hatcheries worth of production, which is quite a crazy amount. We do see a double expansion coming out from Royal, trying to grow himself quite rapidly to keep up with the cost efficiency of the Zerg that we're going to be seeing here soon. Right now, Royal is ahead by about 50 supply, but he can't exactly attack into Queen right now. Like, Dark Swarm has too much value. He is getting a fairly high vessel count, so he's going to be able to get a lot of value by chaining these irradiates, but thus far, Queen has done a really good job of just splitting out the one muta that gets irradiated each time, so Royal still hasn't dealt with this muta pack that's out on the map, so he's had to waste a few irradiates on not even finishing dealing with the mutas. So far, Queen forcing Royal and to try and figure out any way of getting some value out of these vessels, but has been denied thus far, besides that one great eraser trick.
Yeah, absolutely. That eraser trick was fantastic. Here comes the first plague of the game, I think. Nope, Dark Swarm gets thrown down. Doesn't have the energy for that second ability. No energy upgrade just yet. These Marines just standing and fighting underneath the Dark Swarm. Not the way you want to do it, but I guess that wasn't in a control group. Royal bringing the rest of his forces down, which are in control groups, to deal with these forces here. Gonna get that irradiate down and get rid of the Defiler. Plague should be done by now. I'm just gonna
any second now. Yeah,
just gonna throw down a couple more Dark Swarms and hold this area here out in the front. A few lurkers being produced, and Queen starting to finally move forward with his army.
Yeah, and Royal's got a lot of barracks here behind this. Almost 1 barracks per hatchery, I think. Maybe even 1 more than that. Oh, nice little vessel snipe from Queen. And with these Dark Swarms, going to be able to push Royal all the way back. Looks like some great irradiates going to be coming off, and the Queen can't quite burrow his lurkers quick enough. Royal doing a great job of keeping his army fluid and moving it around without letting any of it get picked off yet. But one of the vessels does get dangerously low, down to red HP, so he needs to be careful to retain those. The fleet of vessels is so important right now. He needs to keep chaining irradiates to mitigate as many of these cost-efficient, gas-heavy units from Queen, because besides that, it's just going to be pure amounts of Hydra. This is going to be so difficult for him to deal with. I think he's going to be going into quite a few tanks, and pumping a lot of tanks is going to be...
Oh, we almost saw a massive plague there. You can see all of the Marines bunched up in a tight group in the low ground there. I guess it's not actually low ground, just on the other side of that barrier. Tanks are now making their way to the front. He's going to set up here 4 tanks. This is going to be a surprise, I think, to Queen, who's trying to take his 4th base out here in the front. Going to come forward with a great plague there. Finally getting some catch up on those Red Marines, starting to lower their HP and break through this attack. But I don't know. Can he actually take down these tanks before it's too late? Yeah, that hatch is going down.
I mean, I like Queen's philosophy here. We want to get some chili sauce on these Terran units before we gobble them up. They're going to taste a lot better that way, right?
Absolutely. We're going to bring some more Hydras forward. Another plague could come down on all this army. Plague on tanks is incredibly strong as well. It just makes them so tasty. Or those Hydras spit. Looks like another round of units coming out here. Queen has so many macro hatches, but he's actually not able to spend his money at this moment. 1,200 minerals in the bank. He should have a lot more units out here in the front, but he's a little bit slow to reinforce, and Royal pushes him all the way back into his natural.
Yeah, looks like Queen's going to deny the SCV building this 5th base, so that's, I guess, a small victory for Queen there, but Royal's already had his 4 bases set up for a little while now. He does really want to get this 4th gas online, because it was a mineral only, one of the bases that he took, so he desperately does need to get access to more gas, but this gas is only going to help him for like 5 or so minutes, so he's going to have to make this count. Once this gas gets dried up, he might find himself in another precarious situation if he's not dealt with Queen by then. So I'm hoping to see Royal get a big enough tank count to deal with this. Right now we see Queen moving forward with another Dark Swarm and some Lurkers. Each time these Lurkers finally get borrowed underneath the Dark Swarm, unless you've got a Radiate, they're just going to be stuck there for at least a minute, because they're basically immortal.
Yeah, pretty much. Some Irradiates going down here. Gonna deal with those Lurkers now, finally. We have a base possibly going up in the bottom left for Queen. He's thinking about taking that location. He's got some mutas there to defend, but coming forward once again with just pure Hydra Ling. I don't know if he can actually break this. He's going to kill a couple of tanks at least. But the Dark Swarm runs out. The Defiler, I think, was targeted there by the tanks, and the splash damage alone underneath the Dark Swarm can actually take that down. Queen being continuously pushed back here. A full 80 supply behind his opponent. Another great plague there. This is very squishy Bioforce. This is kind of the moment here, I think, where Queen should be able to break forward and clear these tanks out.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit bad for Queen there for a second, and it might still be. We have some nice little muta counterattack coming into the the natural third here, and that's going to be a trigger for Queen to now push out and clear up all of these tanks. This is what the moment that Queen needed to come out and clear out this huge tank count of Royal. Once he resets that tank count, it's going to become infinitely harder for Royal to deal with the composition of Queen. Royal was kind of banking on this high tank count getting larger and larger to make it difficult for Queen to maneuver, because once there's so many tanks, you can just start sniping Defilers under Dark Swarm. It's really hard for the Zerg to maneuver. As we can see, Queen also still finding a hard job of fighting back Royal in the center of the map. But I still think that Queen is in a little bit of a precarious situation. He needs to be careful to maintain his position. He's not yet got a 4th gas online. His position isn't tenable the longer this game goes on, so he needs to make something work soon, and just reducing the tank count a little bit might not be enough for him soon.
Yeah, getting in here, killing a few more SCVs. Not the biggest deal at the moment for Royal, because he's got so much income. He's just kind of chilling right now. Nothing really to worry about with this 4th base. He's ahead on bases over the Zerg, so that's always a good spot to be in. These 4 mutas, I feel like they need to stay in a safe place. Bring them out once the vessels are plagued and just start gunning those down. Of course, Hydras can do the job as well, but mutas can get into positions where you're just not expecting them to come from an angle, come from behind, maybe a flank, and just start gunning down all of these plagued science vessels. Now going to lose the last few of those. Queen's still getting value out of these units somehow. Kind of amazing. Wastes 2 irradiates on these last 3 mutas. That's a little bit crazy, actually, from Royal.
Yeah, it's great that Queen was still able to get around the map with those mutas, still sniping tanks even this late into the game, finding value out of keeping those alive for so long. And now moving forward north and sniping out quite a few of these tanks is Queen, and also sending forth another group of Hydras to pick off the last remaining tank, but then thinking better of it and starting to retreat back to the safety of the Dark Swarm. Great use of his spells and mobility right now from Queen, using the speed of the Hydras to his advantage to try and keep Royal at bay. Now starting to consume more and more Zerglings as he moves back in for another go at it. Going to be looking for another big plague soon.
Another Dark Storm here. He's going to continue to push forward. Quick irradiate on that science vessel, but now all the science vessels have been plagued. That is a big moment. Army coming down here on the right-hand side, taking down this hatchery once again. Denying that 5th base is so big. This doesn't have any medics with it, so it's not a very strong force, but it still manages to take that down. The 3-3 army here for Royal. Punishingly hard to fight against, but Queen's still pushing everything back. Oh, GG. Queen taps out. He's a full 100 supply behind. I respect the tenacity, but Royal just overwhelming there.
Yeah, it just wasn't a tenable position for Queen. He was forced to make plays, because if he didn't keep reducing the tank count and expand, he was basically going to lose the game eventually. So he was forced to keep taking unfavorable trades. And yeah, as we can see, Royal being able to outmaneuver him there, finally going to be sniping that base with just a few naked Marines and taking the win. It's a great play from Royal game long, I think.
Absolutely. It's really goes back to the eraser trick we saw there in the natural earlier on, reducing that drone count, forcing him to re-drone at a time where he was getting his economy online, when he was getting his extra macro hatches ready to go. He was really starting to really mass up and produce, and then got reset a little bit there and falls behind, never able to quite catch up in that game. Now Royal is going to move on forward. His next opponent will be Snow. Royal versus Snow, that's coming up next. Let's go. Royal versus Snow. Royal down here in the bottom right hand corner, Snow in the top left. We are on Dark Origin, a great map. I feel like this map is kind of a remake of Destiny. How do you feel about that? Destination, not Destiny.
I don't know about that one, Sam.
Okay, let me explain my thinking here. We've got Destination with the 2 ramps that go one to the back, one to the front. I think there was like a mineral or something blocking that one on Destination, right? Then you've...
the back ramp has a mineral blocking it, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the natural with 2 bridges coming out of the natural, and there's like a big open area in the middle and high grounds on left and right. Seems very similar to this map. I think it's just been optimized a little bit better for the modern era, with a much cleaner natural, much easier to wall off that area. Plus, you have a better, easier to take 3rd base. You don't have to go across bridges to get to that 3rd base. Instead, you have to go across bridges to get to the rest of the map. I feel like it's a lot more balanced, a lot cooler of a map, but it really reminds me a ton of Destination.
I definitely see, now that you pointed it out, I definitely see some characteristics that may have been borrowed from Destination. I definitely don't see it being like a remake of Destination, but I do think that there's some similarities there, especially with like the back expansion with blocked with a mineral, and with these bridges as well, but obviously connected to the 3rd, unlike Destination. So definitely can see some similarities. And one thing I really liked about this game was that Royal blocked the ramp with an SEV initially to deny the gas steal, to make sure that his build wouldn't be interrupted by Snow, and now is trying to throw up a bunker, but it's going to be denied by Snow. This sell out very quick out on the map due to the gateway on the low ground, so it's going to be denying this bunker going up. But with 3 Marines, oh wow, Snow actually kills one of the SCVs of Royal. That's actually really huge damage there. He got an SCV kill there. He probably shouldn't have gotten anything there. And so an SCV kill when you shouldn't have gotten anything is a really nice pickup for Snow.
Yeah, the blocking was very good. Keeps all of his Marines alive at least, but Snow getting the best he possibly could out of that trade. 3 Marines should be able to wreck a Zealot pretty well. As long as you have good splitting with them, keeping them away from the Zealot, not allowing it to target down one singular Marine. But, oh, this Vulture is going to slip out. And that's kind of a problem for Snow right now. He's going to have to retreat with this Dragoon.
Yeah, I really like the play there from Royal, pushing out with the 4 Marines. He kept the option of maybe cancelling the bunker as one of his potential plays, but then he decided to finish building the bunker and instead just use the Marines to bully back the Dragoon and allow the Vulture to come out on the map relatively unscathed. Oh, nice block from Snow, denying the Vulture from getting across the bridge. That's absolutely huge play from Snow, denying that Vulture scout, and may even pick it off if he's careful enough with his pathing. Didn't quite get in range to snipe that, but great play from Snow.
Oh, he can cut this off. He's going to cut this off, and he's going to get this Vulture. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run. Royal loses the first Vulture on the map. Beautiful, beautiful control from our Protoss player here. Snow going right on into a Citadel, dealing a lot of damage to this bunker. Oh, he picks it off. Wait a second. That's huge.
Yes, the tank is now one volley away from dying, and desperately Royal is trying to micro that back. 2 SCVs are repairing it, but it is going to go down. Snow snipes that, and now the 2 red HP Dragoons going to be microed back. Meanwhile, picking off both of the Marines. SCVs coming off the line to try and help against these Dragoons, but it's going to be too little too late. He's now denied the building of this command center. There is 2 red HP Dragoons here, though, so if these tank target fires well, 2 of these Dragoons will fall in short order, so Snow does have to back out here, but that's a great play from him, getting those SCV kills, the Marines, the bunker, and the tank, all for the price of those Dragoons, and delaying the expansion as an absolutely amazing play from Snow so far.
Yeah, I think only 1 Dragoon went down during that, so beyond amazing for a Protoss player at any level of play to get that much value out of their first couple of Dragoons. But at this level, Snow is light years ahead here. He's going to be feeling so good. So much of the pressure is off his back. Look at how delayed this command center is. It just now finishes with a lot of SCVs sitting here waiting. That's painful for Royal, who is going to be scrambling to try and figure out what he can do in this game to bring himself back into a decent position. What is the response? Looks like just an armory so far, and maybe a starport. Is that a starport being built?
I don't think so.
Oh, engineering base floating. Never mind.
Yeah, one thing I would say is the SCVs outside of the command center, like that of all the minerals, like waiting, that was very reminiscent on games back in the day on Destination, where they would have their gas stolen and then they would just ignore, they would mine the gas in their natural and have all the SCVs lined up on the CC for just when the command center finished, and then they'd all return the cargo at the same time, and they've just barely 100 gas ready to start building the factory instantly. That was like one of the old ways of dealing with gas steal on maps like Destination. A little bit of blast for the past from you. We're going to be having a DT drop in the main base of Royal right now, coming from Snow Zone.
There are quite a few turrets ready to go, and the tanks are here as well. Wonder where he's going to decide to drop. You know, you can actually click unload onto a turret, and it will not it'll actually stop firing once you drop that unit. Oh god, he's found one tiny little spot here where there's a turret not quite finished. He's actually going to be able to kill some of these supply depots, it looks like, and maybe even be able to hit some of those SCVs at the bottom of these mineral patches. He gets a tank.
He gets a tank. That was sloppy from Royal, to be fair. He should not have allowed that to happen.
Oh. He gets a second tank.
No. How is Snow doing this? Is he like inside the Matrix right now? I don't understand how he does this in TVP. He's like the Flash of PvT. I don't understand how this guy is so good at this matchup, Sam.
He always seems to find damage with whatever he's going for, whether it be Reavers or DTs. This time, getting a couple of tanks with one DT, absolutely insane. That's 3 tanks have been lost so far in Royal's early game, and his push is just going to be so slow, whether it's a push or a command center. I guess it's probably going to be a command center, just because there's no way he's going to be able to kill Snow with such a pinner push here in the mid game.
Sometimes it feels like Snow's like turning this these skirmishes into like a UMS map of like how do the most damage with as few units as possible, and he seems so bloody good at it.
Yeah, if you've ever played those impossible maps, it seems like he would be an absolute pro at those, always able to use his units absolutely the most efficiently and get kills here. Even though things seem so perfectly defended, he uses the units at his disposal to get in there and kill off whatever he can. Now, killing one of his own turrets there, Royal, realizing that was messing up his mining pathing just a little bit. You can see he actually wanted a turret a little bit lower down, but was forced to build it in that location because of the placement of the DT. And I believe that is a command center being built in the main base, so we're gonna have a third base here shortly.
Yeah, it is a command center, and we're going to be seeing roughly like 5 or 6 factories going up against 8 roughly gateway production from Snow. But this is exactly what Snow wants. Like, he's controlled the pace of the game exactly to his liking, and he's going to have an extremely strong gateway man style with speed shuttles and Storm. It's just able to decimate any move out that Royal makes. And I feel like Royal's kind of playing into Snow's hands if he tries to take this expansion too soon.
Yeah, he's going to have to be super careful with how he takes this expansion. I like the Wraith play here. Wraith can be really, really nice against these mass shuttle styles. It's not going to be able to catch up to a speed shuttle, but before speed is done, that shuttle will never be able to get away. So we'll see if Snow decides to kind of dip his toes back in, try to get back in here to the main base, or does he just want to wait for this push out and keep those shuttles safe until they're ready to bomb these tanks and kill this army as it moves forward. Royal is starting to slowly inch out here, but his tank count is so low. I don't know. I think he's just going to get bopped here.
He very well could get bopped. There's a lot of zealots moving into position on this high ground area on the 3 o'clock location. Snow is gearing up to maybe break this position if he tries to go for this third prematurely. So far, Royal hasn't pushed out too far. He's just secured the inside of these bridges. But it looks like he is gearing up to snake his way all the way over to that third base. And that's going to be the moment for Snow to strike. As soon as he shuffles on over to this third base and starts to move his tanks out on the map, Snow's going to want to come in here and punish him. And it looks like he is starting to unsiege now. He's going to be wanting to move his tanks over, hugging against this wall on the right-hand side. And that could be the moment that Snow decides to strike. Thus far, though, Royal being very tentative and taking his time is exactly what Royal needs to do right now. Just keep that CC chilling for a while and waiting to take this third base after he's gotten a few more tanks and a few more vultures. Looks like Snow decides to go now, saying High Templars already with Storm going to be coming out the shuttle, blanketing the tanks before they can even manage the siege. Now going down to red HP and going to be finished up as the Dragoons and Zealots stream forward. Beautiful storms from Snow and great execution, softening up all of these Terran units. Snow currently ahead by 30 supply, making a phenomenal job at showing how to take apart a Terran just as he wanted to secure his third base, and didn't even need for him to come out too far for him to make that happen. Beautiful timing attack from Snow.
Beautiful timing here. Snow with a huge bank as well, just going to be pumping out an incredible number of units. This is way too many Dragoons here in the natural, and the rallies are going to be flying forward across the map. The fourth base is done as well, so there's definitely a plan B here for Snow if he doesn't kill right here, right now. But 2 more tanks do come up, and Archon dealing some damage. GG. Royal taps out. Bopped indeed.
Bop.
Now this is what I like to see. 1 Terran, 1 Zerg, and 1 Protoss are remaining here in this week of KCM. It's awesome to have all games be played. I don't have to put a spoiler at the end. We get more great games. and a very, very balanced week of KCM. So Soma, he's spawning here in the top right, Snow in the bottom right, vertical spawns on Nemesis, and Light is going to get the buy here. Terran will definitely be getting second place no matter what happens here.
Oh, that Tasagi, man, they're banking points easily here, Sam.
Yeah, and Protoss, if they lose here, this is going to be another dead week for them with 0 points.
Well, they've got Snow, and if you want anyone in your corner fighting for your points, you want Snow. I mean, look at this guy go. Like, he's trying to squeeze out every tiny drop of value out of his unit control, and he is so good at it. Although this probably isn't his strongest matchup, I would say his PvT is rather exceptionally good. We see some amazing micro coming out of Soma here, getting this probe down to 10 hull points. So really nice play, and going to be going for this gateway first style, and the Overlord is going to be spotting that move out timer, so we will be potentially seeing a slowdown on this Zealot would be nice, because if he gets in here and does any damage to Soma, kills just a singular drone, that's going to be huge for Snow, and will kind of negate the advantage of going for this 11 hatch play. And we see a third hatchery being placed down by Soma now as the Zealot starts making his way into the natural.
Yeah, well done there by Soma getting those hull damage onto the probe. It's going to allow him to get that third base without contention. That probe cannot fight any further, so this drone takes 2 shots from the Zealot. Gonna back away here. Oh, he gets one. That was a little bit surprising there. The probe goes down. A second drone falls. Wow. This is so painful for Soma. Almost game-winning damage here, actually. This is so big.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, you just want one drone with this Zealot, so getting 2 is like an absolute dream. So it's crazy that Snow was able to do that, especially against someone of Soma's caliber.
Oh no, oh no. Soma sent his links across the map, and they just went in this bad path. This happens to me all the time on this map. I hate this map, actually, to play on. It's a beautiful map to watch, but the pathing here is so ridiculous. It's really, really hard to get these things moving across. And yeah, he's going to be late making his way over to this gateway. There's already a few Zealots out here. We've got the Nexus on the way where probes are pulled. And I think that Snow should be able to hold on, though. It's going to be a little bit dicey.
But he's going to be trying to hit the gateway and force the Zealots to come out to defend, and then try and get a surround on the Zealots. There's enough lings to do that. 3 Zerglings are going to be targeting down that gateway to chip away at its shields, forcing Snow to keep microing back and forth with these Zealots for space to try and deny as much damage on this as possible. Cannon has still not started for Snow, so there's a bit of a detrimental situation just now being thrown up. There's still a lot of timing here for Queen to kill this gateway, and then looks like Snow's going to have to pounce on these Zerglings soon. The Zealot does come out. He's got the 5 Zealots. Now, a beautiful surround on this top Zealot from Soma, going to be picking that up, and now focus firing down the gateway, picking that off. He's now going to be able to get into the potentially the probe line of Snow here and cause a lot more damage and try and make up for the fact that he lost those 2 drones earlier on.
It's a little bit too bad that Soma didn't decide to go for a full-on commit to Lings, maybe just a Ling all-in from this position, but I kind of understand it. You know, he did take the third base up at the 12 o'clock. You can't rally units from that location, so building drones there, the only option at this moment. Zealots are going to move out on the map. There's only 3, though. Oh, excuse me, 4. And there won't be any more for quite a while, as that gateway was killed. So you know, Soma, he knows exactly what's coming. He should be able to produce just the perfect number of lings to be able to hold this off. And yeah, Snow recognizing that, just going to turn around here, head back home.
Yeah, he probably would have liked in an ideal world to go for a ling follow-up, but the problem is without the speed upgrade and with Snow being able to re-wall in with the cannon being finished, it would have been a bit of a gamble to go for that with only 2 hatchery production with the lings being committed. So didn't want to commit to that. Instead, we're going to be seeing a 4-hatch Hydra play going into more of a standard game, using these Hydras potentially to put on some pressure. He's making a lot of Zerglings, so he might be thinking about denying any scouting coming out from Snow and trying to hit him with a little Hydra timing using this macro hatchery to pump just barely enough Hydras to break through here. So he might still be trying to get a killing blow, not wanting to play out a full macro game with Snow after losing that initial drones, or could just be setting himself up to contain and be safe while he gets out his 5th macro hatchery. So maybe not going to be seeing any kind of bust here from Soma, instead just going to be using a few Hydras to defend against any Overlords being sniped off from the initial Corsairs.
Yeah, the initial Corsairs are going to pop out here soon. That Overlord in the bottom left is sacrificial. It's not going to make it out alive, but a few Hydras going to pump out here and keep those Overlords in the natural safe. The extra addition of the hatchery down here at the 3rd base is an important thing to note. Definitely indicating to us that he's going to be going for a macro game. He will have to break through his own eggs, though, before he can start to move out with those units. A few Hydras moving across the map here, and more cannons being thrown down by Snow. This is interesting.
This is really clever. This is really clever from Soma, because the way he streamed down these 3 Hydras made it look like there was a lot of rallied Hydras on the way. He's making it look like there's a potential Hydra bust coming, but there really isn't. There's nothing coming. It's literally just a little mind game that he's done to force cannons out of Snow. He's actually kind of tricked Snow really well here, I think.
And Snow's scouted everything out. He's still letting these cannons finish, which is a little bit surprising. Okay, he does cancel one, and lets the other one finish. So yeah, mind gamed here.
He let the other one finish as well because he was worried about the gateway being sniped off. But yeah, otherwise he was extremely well mind gamed there. Really, really exceptional play from Soma, just faking him out by just a perfectly timed rally of Hydras, forcing him to not want to cancel those cannons.
Explain to me how that Hydra on the right was closer than the Hydra on the left. Visually, that made no sense at all.
Units have better angles of attack diagonally, and the other Hydra was more diagonally positioned on the hex grid. It doesn't make sense visually a lot of the time, but if you actually draw out the grid and look at it from that perspective and like draw the vectors, it actually does make sense. But visually, it can be a bit deceiving.
Yeah, it can be a bit deceiving for sure. Here comes the Zealots across the map. We're gonna have a little bit of a timing here. He can't actually get into the 3rd base, so this is only a vector for attack at the moment. He's gonna come over towards this 3rd. He sees that there are Hydras here protecting the Overlords, and he can't really get in there unless you have a bunch of storms. That's just way too packed up with units at the moment.
Yeah, and because Snow invested so heavily in these cannons early on, it's really slowed down his build and production. So he doesn't have quite the critical mass that he would like to at this time to put on any kind of threat. So right now, Soma can kind of just chill and keep droning up with all these hatcheries. And because Snow's expansion is so late, it's going to be a little bit hard for him to challenge Soma, who's also making a Spire, so he can maybe even do a muta switch to counter the Templar timing of Snow, or at the very least take away the air superiority of these Corsairs flying around the map.
Looks like Soma coming up here. He should be able to spot this 3rd base going down, and with that 3rd base comes the DT. DT is fantastic at breaking through eggs. Gonna kill the assimilators first, though, here on the left side of this base, and another base gonna go down over here in the center left for Soma. That's a bit of a curious location to try and take. It's really a hidden base at this moment. I doubt that Snow will scout that anytime soon, unless he sends a Corsair all the way around the long way of this map. He's probably just not going to know that that's going up, and that could be a real boon to Soma's economy here.
Yeah, I really like that ninja base location, and as an island, it's a very good spot for him to take. It'll be difficult for Snow to attack into that with Zealots, for example, so very cost-efficient ninja expansion. Soma going to be coming on to the 3 o'clock location and start gunning down these eggs. I think he's actually thinking better of it, realizing that there's no way he's going to get in there in time and doesn't want to open that position up for Snow to attack from and flank him, so is instead going to leave those eggs alive, it seems, for the time being.
Mutas are out now, just 4 of them though. I believe it's 5 you need to one-shot a probe, if I'm not mistaken. Bunch of probes, a bunch of drones here in the middle of the map need to be sent to work. What is that, like 8 drones, 10 drones just waiting around here in the middle of the map? Probably going to be sent down to the bottom left, excuse me, the center left, to saturate that brand new base. No transition just yet. It feels like Soma wants to stick with this layer tag, just get his +2/+2, build a ton of Hydras, try to snipe down Templars, and then take the fight before getting into any further tech here.
Well, Soma's just thinking about denying the 4th base right now and setting up for that. That's why he's opening up the 6 o'clock eggs right now. He can take away air superiority by intercepting these Corsairs. There is only 3, that's not enough to do, and he's baiting out storms with these mutas, so he's already getting tons of value. One thing he should have got those drones back to work earlier though, saying, to be fair, like maybe they were just paid hourly or something.
Sorry, what did you say?
I think he should have gotten those drones back to work earlier. I think they were just paid hourly or something.
Oh, paid hourly. I gotcha. Didn't quite catch that the first time, but yeah. They are now back to work there in the center left, getting some minerals for their master. Soma here spreading out his lurkers in a wide arc around the natural. This is interesting positioning here. It is a wider surface area, but it allows the Protoss to get outside of his wall pretty safely, right? He's going to be able to set up here on the high ground.
Yeah, but he needs a better surface area for his own Hydras to engage the Dragoons, so that's why he's choosing the wider arc. Then he wants to bait Snow to come out a little bit deeper, so he can set up these sandwiches. Like, we can see the 2 Hydras moving in from both sides. Beautiful storms from Snow, though, to soften up those flanks of Hydra to prevent that, but we see a lot of reserve of Hydras to come in and help defend any further bust attempts from Snow. And so far, Soma is set up for a squeeze play of just containing him on 3 bases and trying to slowly contain him and starve him out. He has about 5 to 6 minutes to bust out before he becomes mined out in his main and natural, so Snow knows the clock is ticking and is going to be using these critical mass of Dragoons to move forward to try and snipe as many of these Lurkers and Hydras as he can, wanting to storm at every moment. But so far, Soma doing a good job of just flooding units across the map and reinforcing this contain over and over again.
Yeah, you can see this is definitely the game plan from the start from Soma. Soma shuts down the exit at the bottom center, so really Snow cannot get out and get another 4th base unless he breaks this contain. Trying to get forward here a little bit. The Dragoons are getting some good damage on these Lurkers. Every time they move forward, though, the Hydras are there ready to start gunning them down. Storms have been excellent to push back the Hydras as they come up, but this Dragoon force is getting smaller and smaller, and there's just no end to the number of Hydras that are here at the moment. Just running forward, gunning down more of these. The Zealots cannot engage at this time. No storm here. The Dragoons are really starting to die off. There's the Zealot run forward, but still quite a few Lurkers in this army. He's going to have to take this fight with the Lings, with the Lurkers. Hydras coming in from the left-hand side, trying to get on top of these Dragoons. Once again, the Zealots pushing them back. No storms in this entire fight, and Snow pushback once again. Victory here for Snow for now, as the contain holds up.
Yeah, I don't think that Snow's going to be able to bust out of it anytime soon. Right now, Soma's doing an absolute masterclass of how to contain a Protoss and beautifully sniping down the goons with the Hydras to prevent a critical mass from ever being achieved, so he can finally move out. But it looks like he's going to try and focus down on this southern threshold where there's just 2 Lurkers. Maybe he can get out, but he just barely can't get out there quick enough. Looks like Soma's going to be squeezing him out from that play and surrounding him with the Hydras, forcing him back yet again. Soma's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. Meanwhile, also taking more and more expansions in the top left corner to keep growing while he puts the pressure on Snow here, probably only making drones after he has won a fight, and at the moment in the situation where he's happy to trade at a 50-50 cost efficiency as long as he's containing the Protoss and preventing a 4th base. He knows it's only a matter of time, another 4 or so minutes until Snow will be mined out and down to 1 base economy, and there's just nothing he can do from then on.
Trying to push out here one more time. Let's see if he can break through. That's so many Hydras in such a wide arc, and this Dragoon number is way too low. Only about 8 there. even less, 7 right now. And Soma's really starting to open up the map now. You can see his rallies coming from every direction of that umbrella logo in the middle of the map, just flowing forward here from the left, from the top left, from the top center, from the top right. And Snow, all his units are coming from this bottom right, so funneled into this tight little corner here where he's getting constantly surrounded. He's starting to push forward. The Dragoon rallies have come up here, but forced back once again. Hydra's Lings pouring in. Is this going to be the end of the Protoss for this week of KCM? He's just barely hanging on right now. He still has the supply lead at the moment, but not able to break out again. Stuffed back into his natural. This is looking bad.
It's a beautiful kill box that Soma set up here. This big, massive, like L-shaped right angle. Like, it's an absolute fantastic kill box for the pros to have to move into. The left side is a little bit softened up though, so Snow's going to try and take advantage of that and shuffle with his Dragoons to try and snipe off some of these Dragoons, some of these Hydras, so that he can then engage the Lurkers. But there's a huge flood of Hydras that can come in from the north and jump on top of this army now. One storm does come down, but it doesn't really quite land. The other one gets a little bit of spread on the Hydras, but not quite enough to soften them up for the Dragoons. So now it looks like Snow going to be losing more and more of his Dragoons, but he is starting to break out of the contain. He needs to be quick in dealing with all these small pockets of units as they come down, because 3 more Lurkers do just bury in front of him. He's going to quickly target those down with the Dragoons and Zealots. Great target firing from Snow, trying to get a lot done of a little here, backing away these Hydras. He has got a little bit of room to maneuver now. He has kind of busted out of the contain, but he hasn't got a lot of units. He has some rallied units coming in to reinforce. There's a lot of Hydras moving into the west to try and pincer these Dragoons. I don't see any Storm currently. There is 2 Templars, but I think they're too low enough energy. 1 Storm does come down, soften up the Hydras. Beautiful Storm dodge from Soma right now. Going to be target firing down these Dragoons one at a time. There is still a Lurker up on that high ground, preventing any form of move out still from Snow. He's getting pushed all the way back down to the ramp, and he's got all of his units cleaned up here, so he's not going to be able to rally enough for a force to bust out, and eventually it's going to be mined out here soon.
Yeah, the mine out timing is coming very, very soon. Important thing to mention, there is actually no high or low ground here in the middle of the map on Nemesis. It looks visually like high and low ground, very, very much so, but Probe's actually just heading out on the map. Yeah, this here on the screen, none of this is high or low. It's just all flat ground, and a ton of probes coming down here. He actually starts this Nexus. He has kind of broken out, almost. I mean, he's got that left side open finally, and he's starting to mine. So actually, there's a little bit of hope left here for Snow in the form of this base at 6 o'clock. That's surprising.
Yeah, well, he did a really good job of breaking through the lurker lines to open up this position just a little bit to get some wiggle room, and now he's out on the southern threshold of the map, and Soma can no longer engage that army until he's got a perfect pincer set up. He is, though, making a huge army right now. He does want to challenge this 4th base. He's just waiting for the right time, the right mass. He's going to start going now. The lurkers are going to start streaming across the map. He's going to come in with a lot more flood. A huge amount of lurkers, about a whole control group of lurkers burrowing down, being stormed by Snow while he's in retreat. A lot of them being softened up to 1 shot from a Dragoon, so doesn't want to engage with those lurkers further. They will be taken out very quickly if he does choose to continue to engage here. So right now, Snow holding the Zerg back. This map with the umbrella logo in the middle, much reminiscent of the situation in the Resident Evil franchise. It seems like Soma playing the role of the zombie horde, and Snow, the desperate refugees trying to fight off the infection. So far doing a good job of seeming like all hope was lost, but now fighting back against the big swarm of Hydras out on the map. It's like Snow might be able to get this 4th base online without too much further hassle.
Yeah, just barely going to get that base up once again. 4th base here, a godsend for this Protoss player. He is so low on that economy, managing to just play a very tight game here in the middle of the map, just rotating back and forth, catching these small groups of units moving in to try and run by or just pick off whatever they can. Now Soma's starting to pull the trigger here. There's a lot of units moving forward. Lurker's going to run straight up on top of this. Great storms there. Just hit those Lurkers as they burrow. Still a lot of Dragoons here. He's going to clean this up without too much problem. Really good trading overall from Snow, who's been behind in supply for quite a while, but still holding on still holding strong. Although Soma, I feel like even though he lost his contain, his economy is just so good. His upgrades are amazing. He's getting into that super late game tank, and there are just endless streams of red coming across this map to try and finish off Snow here. He's backed himself into a corner. There's only 3 Dragoons left. A bunch of Templar come out, storming everything, but they're starting to get picked off. There's just not enough meat in this army to take down the remainder of the Hydras. I think this might be it. Oh, so close. So close.
Yeah, it seems like the zombies have finally overwhelmed the last hope of this Protoss army, and we see now just lurkers being made in the face of snow, showing that even if he stormed those eggs and cancelled the lurkers being morphed, I still don't think it'd be enough for him to win this game. We see such a huge supply lead now, 60 or so supply lead, all the pros being absolutely mowed down at the 6 o'clock position. Now some storms being desperately laid down on the huge clumps of Hydras. Some good storms do connect well, but there's just no meat to this army, like you said, saying all the Protoss infantry gets absolutely cleaned up, and it's just a huge swath of Zerg moving across the map. GG.
GG. The final Protoss hope has been eliminated. Life signs 0 from our Protoss in this season of KCM. No points on the board. It'll continue to be Zerg versus Terran in every single week of the KCM so far in the final matches. So we're gonna have Light versus Soma, our last match of the night. We're gonna jump right on into it. Our final game of the night, Soma versus Light. Couldn't ask for a better finale here. Polypoid vertical spawns. We've got Light down here in the bottom right, Soma in the top right. And as we're getting here into our last game, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Shun. Thank you so much for being here, co-casting with me. It's been a blast. Really been enjoying it recently.
Thank you very much, Sam. I mean, the pleasure's all mine, man. I enjoy casting with you. I like casting these games. Very good games. And I'm sure we're going to have an exceptionally good game out of these 2 players here. We see a very quick 9 pool coming out from our boy Soma up in the top right as the red Zerg. So Overlord are going to be scouting the incorrect direction, but that might even be to his benefit, not giving away his position on the map just yet. Going to be getting that drone, then the gas. Going to be doing, ooh, okay, going to be good gas trick to get the 10 drones. So not going to be doing a full committal here. 9 pool gas, not really that strong these days. And we're going to be seeing a Mickey Mouse wall in the natural on the bottom right. This is the best position to wall in, so I think he's kind of lucked out here by getting this position on the map, because you can do such a nice wall in on a polypoid in this bottom right.
Absolutely, and this is not good for Soma, man. He was planning on doing a little damage here, and I just don't think he's gonna find it. One thing to note is if there's only 1 Marine out, and we've got like 8 Lings here, the Mickey Mouse wall, it lacks in surface area for SCVs to repair. You can only get like 2 SCVs on a supply depot. That's not enough to actually keep it alive. So there's the possibility he gets down here and actually kills the supply depot. It's a small possibility, but we're gonna leave that on the table as something that could possibly happen. Then Light not gonna find his opponent for a very long time. Lings are already on the way here. Looks like he's sending half of them towards the bottom left, half are going down to the bottom right, and as soon as he spots out what his opponent's done, he's going to be kind of, you know, angry about this position, but he will start to deal some damage here to try and maybe dive on this. No, he just sends the Lings back home. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, with 2 Marines out, you can't really do anything. If there was only 1 Marine and he was cutting to do some kind of greedy build, then there would be a potential to at least force a repair build by sending in the Lings to target the depot and then running back any Ling that gets low HP, and then that way you will force a sizable repair build out from the Terran. But unfortunately, with the 2 Marines out early, there's no way he's going to be able to do that cost efficiently. So instead, just going to save the HP on the Lings and chase down this scout while the Terran makes his command center behind this very safe wall.
Now, with the situation here in this game, I'm feeling like Soma may be kind of forced, you know, not completely forced, but I mean, in his mental state right now, where he's at in this game, forced into maybe doing some sort of crazy all-in with 2 hatch muta. It feels bad, the spot that you're in right now. You know the Terran's gotten a really greedy expansion. They've only produced a few Marines. Actually, he's got more Marines than I would have expected. I think about 4 or 5 Marines kind of sent back from the wall in here. That's a little bit interesting.
Well, he knows there's a chance that Soma could have been pooling Lings and will try and just bust down the depot and try and finish the game that way. It is a possibility, so it's safer to just get your Marine count up anyway. He is going to hide the Marines, so Soma will not know exactly how many have been made. He won't know that this is a potential pressure timing coming out very shortly. So this could really surprise Soma if he doesn't expect Light to have committed to this many Marines early. Like you were surprised, for example, saying that Soma might also be surprised, thinking that he would be cutting Marines with this wall in.
Yeah, it's generally the case that Terran players like to cut Marines when they can in the early game, just to get that extra advantage, get the tech out quicker, get the extra barracks out quicker, you know, add on some extra SCVs and the like. But in this position, he's continuously pretty much produced Marines the whole time. He's got a medic out here. He's gonna hit this push timing, and Soma is gonna have to put down some Sunkens. He's not gonna have a choice here. This is a big group of Marine medic, and it's going to be a real threat on the map.
Well, I think Soma actually sniffed it out because he danced his Lings in and saw the medic being popped out of the barracks. Now we'll probably have to produce some Zerglings to help deal with this force. He's opting to not build anything right now, so he might actually just be building straight mutas. He might be like very confident that there's not going to be a committal from the move out here. He's trying to like call the bluff of the Terran right now. He's saying, I'm behind in this game already, so I'm just going to call your bluff and not make any Sunkens or additional Zerglings. I don't think you're going to commit to trying to bust me. I'm just going to cut this corner and try and like find a way of edging my way back into the game economically.
I think you're completely right, and look at the position of the 3rd base here from Soma. He's placing it as close to his opponent as possible, and that is going to be such a quick rally here for the mutas going forward. I think it's likely we're going to see a muta all-in here.
Oh, it's very likely. It's either going to, if it's not a muta all-in, we'll see a Queen's Nest momentarily, and it'll be a Hydra Guardian play, but I think it's most likely going to be a 3-hatch muta play. Ling's coming into the natural of Light, trying to get down on top of that turret, seeing if he can snipe that off to open up that position, but unable to do so. Does get up with the Zerglings, however. We now see the mutas starting to get between the back end of these bio units, cutting off any potential retreat. He's looking for any angle of attack on this bio. Needs to keep track of the bio at all times, though. Doesn't want to let this go out on the map unnoticed. He needs to keep track of it at all times, and will be trying to force out as many stims as possible. As long as the Terran is stimming, he's going to be content. He gets a jump on these reinforcing Marines with a few Zerglings. They're going to be cleaning up the reinforcements from Light, preventing this bio getting too much larger than it already is. And also, misses the shot on those Marines there. A little bit uncharacteristic miss micro there from Soma. Not going to be getting that snipe, unfortunately.
Does force out another stim, though. Pretty good movement overall from Soma. Picking off reinforcements is always big. It's not really able to get in between the reinforcement path here for Light for a moment, but Light splits off 3 Marines. He's going to run straight over to the 3rd. This could be huge. Could be killing off a bunch of drones here, and he will get 3 for sure. That's so painful right now for Soma, who's really low on economy here. He will lose all of those Marines, but that was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, that's at the bare minimum. He just cut 3 mutas out of the lava cycle from Soma, preventing a power spike from having that 3rd gas. He's now going to have to remake those drones and get that gas mining again. So that really hurt Soma there. He's gonna like try and get the gas mining again to squeeze out as much as he can. Right now he's really starved for gas. That's the only thing that's bottlenecking this build right now. So losing any drones mining gas was a really big blow to him. He has still got like 10 mutas out on the map with more being produced, so still could find something punish Light here. There's only one turret in the naturals. There's absolute crazy balls of steel from Light. I can't believe this guy. He knows that if Soma dives in the natural, he can just evacuate and go for the counter. Light is like playing with fire, but in a very calculated way right now. He's kind of like walking on the tightrope, trying to squeeze out whatever potential cut he can in his build to optimize against what Soma's doing right now. He already knows he's far ahead, but there's a lot of mutants going to be coming in to get do a counter attack and get on top of the reinforcing Marines. There's no medics here to help these Marines, so they're going to go down in short order. Mutas absolutely devastate Marines when there's no medics to heal them up. So now all of those Marines have been sniped, and now these SCVs are exposed, and there's some Marines to try and catch the mutas on the right hand side, but they're going to be taken out in short order too. There's 9 mutas here, going to be absolutely raining down hellfire on this SCV line in the main base. So many SCVs going down right now. Soma's actually making short work of this economy, punishing Light for his absolute greed of not making more turrets and fortifying himself appropriately.
And a wave of red coming down from the natural base of Soma. Just Lings filing here into the main, into the natural, excuse me. That was a little bit wasteful there. Unfortunately, could have done a lot better with that. Wow, only 1 drone at the natural mining minerals. That is crazy. Soma is so all in here. It is insane. First, Valkyrie pops out, but I think Soma's just going to dive on it. Oh, he takes 2 volleys there on the mutas and doesn't get the Valkyrie, so that was a great trade for Light.
And a great liftoff from Light there as well to free up more movement for his Marines to get closer to those mutas. Sometimes you do just have to lift off your command center in these situations. Soma diving into the natural, taking out that turret. There is still a couple of Valkyries here. One is on yellow HP. Gonna have to be careful. The Light is very good executing this Valkyrie micro, but one misstep and he will lose these Valkyries. So he needs to be careful. It looks like Soma's going to dive in, snipes the Valkyrie with the Scourge, hidden in the muta pack. There's only one more Valkyrie left alive here, but needs to be careful. He doesn't want to let these mutas get softened up too much. There is enough Bioforce here to still ward away these mutas. The Marines have +1 upgrade and can gun down these mutas exceptionally quickly, so Soma gonna have to do really tactical maneuvering here to make sure he squeezes out every drop of value. He's got so few drones that the lives of these mutas are very precious.
Yes, absolutely. Soma actually had in supply right now, but that can be deceiving. He needs to kill Light here. He has no drones behind this. All his supply is in these mutas, and they can die very quickly when the Valkyrie missiles actually connect, and quite a few missiles did connect there. These mutas are very low. He's gonna come forward with some Scourge, try to fight these Marines once again. If the Valkyrie comes up, he could try to dive upon it, but that's a lot of Marines. He can't really go in right now. Looking for more damage. Maybe gonna rotate back around to the main, try to catch these Valkyries transitioning between the bases. Here he comes. He's gonna go after it. Oh, good pullbacks there from Light. Keeping that Valkyrie alive, just kind of faking out with that and getting the patrol micro once again, damaging those mutas by quite a bit. Wow, there's almost no SCVs left.
There's also no drones saying. It's such a low economy game from both players. There's been some great snipes on these Valkyries, and there is still quite a healthy number of Scourge to zone out the Valkyries. Now it looks like Soma's diving back down to natural. It looks like Light wants to simplify his win condition and just evacuate to the main base. And all the Scourge detonating on the command center. He's going to go for the kill on the command center. This might allow him to turn the game around, and this could be huge because now he can start making drones, but he needs to be careful not to lose his mutas. The beautiful micro from the Valkyries, getting a perfect volley off on those mutas, softening them up, but Light needs to be careful. There are still more mutas waiting in the wings, and now he's on 1 base economy of hardly any SCV. Soma could just drone up and turn this into a normal game from here.
Wow, incredible play there from Soma, recognizing Light was just a little bit too good at keeping those Valkyries alive, deciding rather than try to pick them off again, instead going for the kill on the command center. It works out brilliantly there. He's not able to get those hits on the Valkyries. Does he have a transition coming? Can he afford a transition right now? I don't think so. Can we actually afford to build Lurker upgrade? It's like 200, right? We have almost no money.
It's a bit too risky, even though his army composition is technically suboptimal. Oh, he's going to get on top of the Valkyries and takes out 2 of them. There's only 2 remaining. Does just pounce on the other one, gets a huge muta volley off and kills the 3rd Valkyrie. There's only 1 Valkyrie remaining, but it is enough to bruise the rest of these mutas. The bio does also save the Valkyrie. Great point defense use of that Valkyrie, softening up and bruising the rest of the mutas from Soma. And he is still pumping pure muta. He is fully committing to this. It's going to be a crazy low economic game. It doesn't look like Soma wants to transition, and sometimes that is the right play. Sometimes staying on the sub-optimal unit composition is the right choice, because transitioning would become would make you too weak and vulnerable to a counter attack, and allow Light to come out onto the map and put pressure on him. So he is going to fully commit to this. Hope that Light comes out and start trading off this bio with great whole position micro, volleying and killing the Marines, sometimes 2 at a time, with this whole clump of mutas. There's only 1 Valkyrie out. And the Valkyries are very mineral intensive, 275 minerals, 125 gas, and now with Muta Stab coming into natural, going to be pouncing on top of these Marines that are coming out, and the Lings are going to be dealing with the turrets, or the Mutas are going to be picking off the Marines, softening up this defenses and fortifications. And meanwhile, Light streaming over to the third base of the Soma to try and punish that. But there's a huge swarm of Mutas coming from the rally point of Soma. He's going to pounce on this bio, and he might actually clean up. There's some Scourge to catch these Valkyries. They're going to go down too if he's not careful, and all the bio is going to be absolutely mopped up by Soma. I think Soma's done it. He's fucking got on the top of these bio, and he's absolutely devastated this army. So far, he's held it off, but there is another bio army coming up from Light right now, and there's not that many mutas left over, Saiyan.
Only 6 mutas remain here, and this base may end up getting traded out. I think it just would be wise to just pull these drones away, give up this base, and move on to the just play 2 base versus 1. No, he's gonna dive in with all his mutas and just lose everything. Light pushing through. Are you kidding me? This is crazy, crazy stuff. There's no Valkyrie here, just about 8 Marines. A few more are being squeezed out, but this is it. This is all he has. If there was like 2 sunken colonies at that base, there's no way he breaks through there. Feels like a bit of an oversight by Soma. He's checking to make sure that there's no base coming up, and yeah, indeed, there's nothing here at the natural. It's 2 base versus 1. This is still playable for Soma. As bad as the situation is, he could still bring this out. He's just got to build up his Muta Force once again and pick off these Valkyries. That's going to be the play here. Just kill the Valkyries again and battle with the Marines here. This is wild, man. Absolutely wild.
The Muta is going to be dive bombing into the main base, having to retreat in short order. There is still a Valkyrie there for point defense. Now, there is a low SCV count, so it is a bit of a challenge for Light to produce a lot of Valkyries at a time here, but he is still managing to squeeze them out. So he has stabilized, and we see a few drones coming out from Soma to just give him a little bit of an economic spike. Trying to come in here, gets 1 Scourge connecting on these Valkyries, but unable to get the second, and a little bit of a split on his mutas to try and mitigate some of the damage. Scourge still dancing around inside the main base, being a bit cheeksy, and then sliding out on the south side. Going to be getting out with that Scourge alive and getting a full scout off, and exactly understanding his state in the game to try and best make the course of decisions that he can to find a way to navigate a victory in this position. It's a very strange low economic game, and I'm sure a lot of these players have had games in these scenarios before, but these are the games that you don't play a lot of, so it's going to come down to experience. And beautiful volleys from Soma going to be softening up the bio count of Light yet again. And Light is drying up in the main base. He's very mineral heavy into these Valkyries. It looks like a lot of Sunken's going to be coming out from Soma. I think he's confident in his position that as long as he holds any Sunken bust, and he can probably outmaneuver Light from here. And Light's win condition is getting enough Valkyries that he can fly around the map and start killing all these overlords and supply blocking Soma. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops.
Oh, 1 more. Nope, not able to get that hit. And 4 Valkyries. Okay, he's gonna get 1 of them, but the mutas go so low here, and the Marines are gonna start to move across the map. I think that someone just kind of identifying that this base is going to mine out very soon, and then all that Light can do is just float his natural or his main out to his natural, and then he'll be on 1 base once again. So 1 base versus 2 base is going to be like this for a while. 3rd base going to try to go up at the 12 o'clock, but he really has to deal with this Marine medic force out here in the front. He's got to pick off some of these Valkyries as well. Maybe while they're transferring from the main, they're actually coming up here on the bottom side, trying to make their way up to the Marine medic. They're not able to get here right now. A lot of Sunkens here in the front. The transition is coming from Soma. He's got this Hydro Stem, but he taps out. That was a strange tap out moment there, don't you think?
It's because the bio got reinforced. Soma wasn't happy that he wasn't able to cut off the reinforcements. Now the Bible's that big, he can't kill it with the mutas anymore, and it's too long to wait for lurkers to secure his third, so he won't be able to get a third gas up, and I guess it's just too difficult of a position for him to play from.
I would have loved to see him try to use the mutas when Light tries to bust there. You know, there's always the chance that he messes up that bust on the sunken colonies and loses most of his army, but that's it, guys. The end. Terran takes the victory this week. Zerg in second place, and Protoss 0 points once again. So sad. Well then, here are our point rankings. We've got Terran and Zerg completely tied up at 6, Protoss at 0. It's been a rough season for the Pusagi. Unfortunate result here once again, but fortunate for us, fans of Brood War. Another great week of KCM.
Oh, absolutely fantastic game, Sayan. And personally, I'm not too unhappy about seeing the absolute flat line of this Pusagi. That's what they deserve, you know. They're playing the inferior race after all.
Down in the dirt where they belong. Of course, we're just kidding, but it is pretty funny to see the different seasons of KCM have completely different results. We've seen Terran completely in the exact same position actually as Protoss in the past. I don't think we've ever seen Zerg with quite the flat line. They are pretty consistent in KCM, but I don't think that says anything about Zerg players as a whole. Do you?
No, I don't think so.
That's right. Well, we are finished, guys. That is it. Thank you so much for joining us here this week, KCM. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.